Nothing can stop me. No. 'Cause I'm addicted to what you and I realize. Lead the way, I follow. No need to say where we are heading now, babe. I follow to the edge of it all. So tell your good night, 'cause I'll find no matter what, yeah. Susceptible now, before the moment flies, before it flies. So tell your good night, 'cause I'll find no matter what. Susceptible now, before the moment flies. In this moment, yes, I cannot say what's wrong or right. No, it's not hard to fool me. No, 'cause I'm addicted to the good life. Yes, yeah, lead the way.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another beautiful Friday. Hey, listen, man, I was thinking about having barber and salon talk tonight. So any ladies that want to join the panel, feel free to do that. I see Take Heed to the Messages in the building tonight. All right, I see unsolicited security bosses in the building tonight. I see y'all coming in. I see Steve Carrington in here. She said, hey, black man, hey, everyone. Good to see all you guys in the building tonight. I'm going to drop the link, and I want to have some ladies come up tonight, because I think this is warranted for some of the ladies that have an opinion on some of these videos I'm going to share with you guys tonight. And so I'm going to mix it up here. I'm going to have this woman talk and male talk. And I think it brings a balance to what leadership really is. And you guys can hear some really good women talk on this later. So I'm going to drop the link for the ladies. I want to get a few ladies first before I bring up anything you guys. So I'll drop the link for them first. And then once I get enough ladies, then I'll start dropping it. All right. Just a second. All right, there's a link for the ladies if you want to come up.
Yes. Nothing can stop me.
All right, there we go. If y'all want to come up, please go ahead and come up. I would love to have you on here. Take heed to the message, and you know you got to come up. I'd love to have you on for sure. Well, again, guys, thank you guys for being here tonight. When you come in, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as you're coming in. Also, make sure that you share this content with someone. All right, let me see. 1 second. All right, make sure you share this content with anyone and everyone that you know. Hit the like button, subscribe button. If you do want to donate to the channel, you can definitely do that with your cash app that's floating around at the bottom. It's in just a second. And if you want to give a super chat, you can definitely do that as well. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Let's go ahead and get the show started, ladies and gentlemen. Go. right, ladies and gentlemen, what's up? All right, man, we got everybody in the crib tonight that's going to be here. We got a few ladies who may come through in a few seconds. They getting geared up to come through. Brother Trey, I'm definitely going to send my brother Trey this link because I forgot to send it to fam, man. My bad, brother. My bad, big bro, my bad. Let me give it to my boy. But thank you guys for being here tonight. Who's here for this discussion? Man, I just want to let me tell y'all what's happening. There's a lot of things going on in the world that I think men should stand up for, or stand against. That is corrupting some things that we know to be normal. I think it's crazy out here right now. I really do think it's crazy. Oh, I didn't even cam up. Hold on just a second. I don't have a camera. Jesus. Hold on just a second. All right. There we go. All right, guys. So I think that we should definitely discuss a few things that's going on in the world today. One of the things I want to break the show with is the fact that I'll be so glad when y'all see this one. Matter of fact, let me pull it up. But before we get started, you already know what I like to do. Scam Likely is in the building tonight. Mandrell is in the building tonight. Mr. Bennett is in the building tonight. So good to see you, man. Let's see here. Okay, so we'll start with Mandrell first. Mandrell, you got your camera? You gonna turn your camera on? Mandrell, he just stripping. Yeah, he just got to stripping for a bar mitzvah. So guys, I just want to make sure he's dressed appropriately when he comes in. But yeah, we got Mr. Bennett in the house. Mr. Bennett, how are you, man? How's the family? How's everything going, brother?
Family is well. We're doing well here, and it's another Friday, NBA weekend. So looking forward to it. Celtics.
I see you. Man, who the Celtics playing, brother?
They play Atlanta.
Man, well, I think that'll be a sweep. For sure. Yeah, they're gonna sweep Atlanta for sure.
Hope so.
Yeah, it's gonna be a sweep. Scam, what's going on, my brother? You muted.
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, I just had to switch computers. The other one, the camera ain't working right.
Oh, okay. Good to see you, man. How's everything going with you?
All is well.
Good. Mandrell, how are you tonight, man?
All right.
That's it?
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, it's good to see you guys tonight, man. Mandrell is looking like a happy hamburger for some reason. I don't know what the hell you got going there. All right. He ain't smile or nothing. I'm going to get Trey on it. Trey on his way up here. But anyway, so I want to start out with a video that I just want to break the ice with. I definitely want to see what Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bennett, you will be the first person that I should still download right now, so I'm waiting on it. But you be the first person I want to definitely say something about this video that I'm about to show y'all. But anyway, what are some things? I'm gonna start, Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bennett, out of your mind, out of what you think, what is as the show goes on tonight, as we talk about, you want men to lead. This is what it looks like, Mr. Bennett. In your view, what does it look like?
Being leadership is one, being the example. You leading from the front, not the back. Setting the standard, executing, delivering on what you say you're going to do, and earning the trust of those who you're leading.
Scam, what do you have for us?
Aside from the basic stuff, the key thing I'm zone in on is positive influence. That's how I'll start right. I'll just leave it with that for now.
All right, no problem. What about you, Mandrell?
What's your question?
I said, do you what is what you want? They want men to lead, and it says this is what it looks like. What does it look like for a man to lead?
What does it look like for men to lead?
Yes. What does it look like in your view? What does it look like?
What does it look like for a man to lead? I mean, that's a difficult question to answer, to be honest. That question in particular, but I can tell you some parts of a leader that I would like to see right offhand.
Yeah,
is a leader focuses on what he can control, He never acts rashly. He's always looking for teachable moments, and he has range. You know, he's not a specialist in one particular area.
Right.
He's good at several different things. Some things he's going to be much better at than others, but he needs to have range. You know, because oftentimes we're not going to be at the tip top of leadership. But you know, sometimes specialists, they train themselves in one area and it cripples them because they can't do much else. You know, leaders, you might be able to change oil, and that's it. You're a specialist at changing oil. But a leader might need to learn how to change oil, change a tire, a serpentine belt, fix the air conditioner, things like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're skilled at several different things. And you should also read to lead. You should also read to lead because, you know, you learn from the mistakes of people of the past. No mistake you make hasn't been done before. You know, and you need to be able to communicate very well, meaning speak to people's logic and a person's emotions. Yeah, because you're dealing with human beings, you know. Human beings have feelings. You have to speak to both of them. You can't go walk around talking about F your feelings like some people in these spaces say. That's not going to work in leadership. It's not, because it's going to breed resentment. That resentment is going to turn to hate. And next thing you know, you got a mutiny on your hands. People are going to want you out of there. So learn to speak to people's emotions and their logic.
Yeah. Black man, you're muted.
You're muted.
The only pushback I have about that is I disagree. Let me tell you why I disagree. When you talk to somebody's emotion is a temporary thing, right? At 5 o'clock, I can be pissed off at you. At 5:30, I can like you. So if I'm always speaking to your feelings, that's a 24-hour job. I
didn't say always do it. I said you need to know how to do it.
Right. But feelings,
you need to know how.
Because let me say this for the people that have, I know Mr. B, I don't know you got sports history, but when you play football, they tell you a lot of that. When I played, they told us, we don't give a damn about your feelings. Feelings are not going to help us win.
Got it. Okay, black man, you're the owner of a Fortune 500 company, right?
Yeah.
A woman, your secretary comes to you. She does a good job normally, right? But here's this time, it's crunch time. You really need her for this project that's going on, right?
Right.
She's pregnant.
Right.
An issue comes up. Do you tell her, okay, go to the doctor, call your husband, I'll give you go see a therapist, I'll pay you, the company would compensate you for it? Or do you say, fuck your feelings, get this job done?
Yeah, I got smoke also, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, at the same time,
in leadership, you have to take things on a case-by-case basis.
Right.
This is why you have to have range, because you have to take it on a case-by-case basis. That woman's circumstances is not going to be every woman's circumstances, but it's her circumstances at the moment. And you have to deal with those circumstances in the moment and not act rashly.
But I think a lot of where you're going with that, black man, I think a lot of it deals with your supply chain has a lot to do with that style of leadership. With a lot of these sports, the idea is that the player is not replaceable. Yes, there's the Jordan, there's the LeBrons, or whatever, but you're building on season by season with the idea that there's a first string, second string, third string that can replace you. So you can have a lot more of that attitude of say, we don't care about your feelings because you have a supply chain. In an environment like Mandrell's talking about, that secretary, that person who's doing that might be a key person to the project. So you don't have a lot of supply. You don't have a lot of people on the bench who can necessarily go in and do that job. So I think, to his point, you need to know how to speak to that. I think a leader also needs to understand the environment that they're in.
Yes.
And understand that if you got people who are in these key positions, if you dog them, you may lose them. But if you're a person who've got, especially Alabama program, they already know they got 5 stars all over the place. So if you get rid of one, you can put another guy in and just roll with that. So I think a lot of understanding what you have has a lot to do with how you then treat your players. Not to say that it's right, but I think a lot of that attitude is in that situation, especially in the sports field.
Yeah, and let me say this before Dusto give his smoke. Like, have y'all seen the walkthrough that Elon Musk did at Twitter? He's walking through that facility saying, fuck your feelings to everybody. And if you don't like how I'm treating you, get the hell on. I don't give a damn about your feelings. I don't give a damn about, I'm paying your ass $120,000 a year. I don't want to hear it. Shut your damn mouth.
Okay.
And do the damn job. And guess what? Everybody there doing the damn job and shutting their mouth.
Right. However, do you not see the problem there? That doesn't make him an effective leader. People at those jobs and take that kind of people who tolerate that kind of conduct, they stay there out of necessity, not because they want to. If they find another job paying them the same amount of money doing the same job, they would leave. They would leave. However, Elon Musk knows he has them by the balls, and so he takes it for granted by talking to people that way.
Yeah, I got that.
Everybody's not gonna accept that message like that, man. I mean, you gotta understand who you're dealing with. You're not gonna talk to your wife. Say you have to have a project to do, and your wife's helping you. You're not gonna talk to her the way you talk to other people. You're gonna talk to her in a completely different fashion. You talk to other people involved in that project. You don't talk to your wife the same way you talk to your kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so when it comes to leadership, you have to you talk to the people who you're responsible for in the way that they can understand you. You have to speak to the way a person hears and understands. That lesson was taught in that sermon Tuesday. You have to be able to speak to your lady's emotions.
Right. Now, let me say this. Real Nathan Daly, thank you for being here. Trey, thank you for being here. Army Vet, thank you for being here tonight, my brother. I see that Trey and Real Nathan Daly got some smoke from Mandrell. I DM both of you guys the link if you guys want to come up. I know Trey will be here. He's probably at the gym. But if y'all want to come up, y'all you can definitely come up and give Mandrell
a perfect example. And in the Army, in the job I was doing, there was no time. In certain situations, there were no time for emotions. Under certain circumstances, there are some things we had to get done now. There are things we had to do now. Otherwise, we're not going to be here in a few seconds. Those circumstances, okay, I don't have time for you to nut up. I don't have time for you to clam up. But guess what? Some people clammed up anyway. Now what do you do as leader? Team leader. Now what do you do, Sergeant Harris? Okay.
Yeah,
see what I'm saying?
I got dust.
Go ahead.
Judge a leader by the followers. Judge a leader by what they're able to accomplish. And people follow based on, if you read anything of John C. Maxwell, it's all about relationships. Even has a book called Relationships 101. So if somebody tells me don't give a damn about my feelings, they probably don't care about me either. Why would I follow that person? You don't care about my feelings, probably don't care if I ate this morning. If a coach tells me, hell with your damn feelings and hell with this, why would I play for him? Why would I risking an ACL, risking it? When it comes to a business decision, he ain't got my back. I'm going to take care of me. You don't care about my feeling, you don't care about my well-being. You probably don't care about my health either. So what do you care about?
Hey, now, hold on real quick. Just pause for just a second. I want to address what you just said. You said, why would I play for you? Who's the Mr. Bennett? Who's the coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide?
Nick Saban.
Nick Saban is an asshole, and he's the most successful college coach of all time, and he has a fuck your feelings mentality for the last 20 years.
Are you sure he has a F your feelings mentality?
Absolutely. He matter of fact, when he got to
NFL, talk to a third party that's not on the panel. I don't know what he's doing, but I'm just telling you.
Well, but what I'm saying is,
I'll give you a better example too. You can't deny. But go ahead.
Hold on. Let me say this. Bill Belichick. There you go. I knew somebody was going to do it. Bill Belichick is the same, but he came to the NFL and coached the Miami Dolphins before he went back to college because he knew he was better at college coaching college. He had grown. Mr. Bennett, you probably remember this. This man had grown men on the field crying at an NFL training camp. Grown 38, 35, 29-year-old men crying he was on their ass so bad. He don't give a damn.
Yeah, but did he win? He didn't win.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. He went back
like the guy from Florida, just like the guy from Florida and Ohio State with the Dolphins. Again, the Dolphins they get it wrong with these coaches, but the guy who's just there with the Dolphins, he's out too. He wasn't effective either.
Right. But at Alabama, with that mentality, he's the most successful coach in college football history.
He might be that way on camera, but off camera, he's probably a totally different person.
I strongly doubt it. But I'll prove a better point.
Well, Deion said he's an asshole too.
No, I'll prove a better point about leadership. Because the scamosphere, according to 1962, all the people was married back then when women didn't have a choice. Because I get it. It was a patriarchy and all this stuff, and the men were these perfect leaders, and the women should have fell in line. And I'm a strong believer that you must lead with critical thinking and common sense and logic, and you also must need to manage emotions. Somehow in the 60s, this thing called feminism, and women were giving a choice. Now they get to choose who they want to lead. A lot of them joined the Nation of Wigwam sometime in the 60s and 70s. They're saying we don't want to be around these what you call leaders no more. The marriage rates went from 80, 90, whatever percent down to the 20s and 30s. And look at the men that you have out here and look at the women, because these had parents or a parent or whatever. Now they're willing to follow anything, like a cell phone. How did this happen if F your feelings was effective leadership? And now given the choice, they're saying, you know what, we'll just run out here crazy first. And now you got, what about the women's? What about the men's? What about the men? Daily.
You can't have a F your feelings attitude and be an effective leader, man. Not really. You might get some projects done, yeah, but you do have to learn how to manage emotions. You do have to learn how to speak to people's emotions and manage it. You have to do it's a non-starter. It's a non-negotiable. It's a non-negotiable. Now, when they come out and say F your feelings, they probably don't mean it in the way that you think. And if they do, look at their track record. You got Nick Saban. Even if his F your feelings attitude was the catalyst to his winning, he's one anecdotal example. That's not the norm though, man. You can't take that as gospel truth.
Yeah, Trey says,
don't work.
Trey says F your feelings is effectively form of leadership. It's called the manosphere. Look what they're leading and look at the followers and look where they're going.
And look at the caliber of men out here.
Hold on, Mandrell, you were in the military. Hold on, Dusto, Mandrell, you was in the military. I guarantee you had some authority over you that said, fuck your feelings. That's not, come on now, Mandrell.
You won't, I can answer that, but go ahead, Mandrell. I was in the military also.
Yeah, and again, it depends on the circumstances. Some circumstances, yeah, I ain't got time for feelings. I ain't got time for that nonsense.
Exactly, we'll get you killed.
And again, it depends on the circumstances. That can not be your leadership style, though. That cannot be the catalyst of your leadership style. It can't. We've dropped the link like 8 times, Nate. Keep up. Scroll up and click it. You can't do that. Now, like Nathan Daly was a cop. Effective leaders also have to be able to compartmentalize. This falls in the area of range. What I'm talking about, an effective leader has to have range. You have to be able to compartmentalize things. You know what I'm saying? You can't make rash decisions like telling the person and getting frustrated and say, if your feelings, you have to be able to manage your own emotions as well. Because if you don't manage your emotions, you're gonna make mistakes. For example, a good example of this is JFK during the Bay of Pigs. The Soviets had nukes over there in Cuba. They go to the president. Mr. President, what you gonna do? Everyone wants him to do something. No. Yeah, it's an emergency. Yeah, it's a big deal, but I'm not going to make a decision right now when we don't know everything that's going on. We don't have a lot of time. I understand that. However, you use time as a tool. You use time. You don't let time use you. Some people, you put pressure on them. Most people, you put pressure on them, they crumble. But then you got some people, the more you pressure them, the more they focus. That's the kind of trait you have to train yourself to be an effective leader, in my opinion. When the pressure is on, you focus. You don't just make a decision.
Yeah, I want to add to that, and also in the military. What people don't understand is leadership is actually a more compromising, submissive position than following is.
You can't be a great leader without being a great follower.
No, leadership is more compromising, and it's more risk. It's more everything than actually being. Follow is the easy route. But when you're talking about the military people, they had that dictatorship. The bad leaders create crappy followers, and crappy followers are waiting for a day to grease those fake leaders. I've done it. I've learned from other crappy soldiers how to grease that supervisor, that manager, that sergeant, that section chief, and I've done it plenty of times.
You're gonna have so many people under your subordinate,
waiting to grease them,
waiting for you to slip up so they have ammunition against you.
I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
What we used to do after the regular work was done, we go hide out in our rooms. And certain people, if they knock on the door, they identify themselves because we're hiding out when you're trying to do the work. You don't know who's knocking on your door because they might get you with a, hey, you, I need somebody to mop the floor. You know, my good section chief could knock on the door and I'm answering it. The bad one, nah. Well, one chief left his car keys and something else in the Connex. After work, he knocking on the door. I got the keys. I ain't answering that door. He on his own. Yeah, it was a problem. I've done stuff like that before. Other soldiers have done worse stuff like that to the leaders. Greased them.
Because you have no idea what goes on, man. Like even in my job in the Army, you have no. I've seen leaders with a dictator mindset disappear.
I give you another one.
I'm just saying, bro. You have people selling you right up the river.
Yeah, go ahead.
I give you another one. I give you another one that's worse.
Yeah, give yours, and then Nathan come right in after him.
All right. I know someone who is in law enforcement in some state. Out of YouTube, not a YouTube person. They're in law enforcement. And there's certain people get into fights and it's time for backup. They know this person, this sergeant, this whatever was on the head of patrol is full of it. And they're calling for backup. Oh, come on. These people take their time getting over there. And then they stand in the back when they're getting into it and getting into fights. They'll get to it when they get to it. But if somebody who they got a relationship with, oh, they on it. People are waiting to grease bad leaders. I'm going to leave it at that.
All right, Nathan, what you got for us, brother? And I'm glad you're here, man. Long time no see, man.
Yeah, man. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to it's been a minute.
It's been a minute, brother.
Shoot, I feel like I'm always missing out on that. Every time I try to jump on, you guys always be ending. You've been ending your streams on time, Black man. Y'all don't be playing no more. Y'all be going to them long.
Yeah,
long
man.
hours.
You remember them 10-hour streams back in the day?
Shout out to you. Shout out to you, Mandro. I ain't seen you in a minute. Y'all out here hiding. You scam. Shout out to you, Mr. Bennett.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
But no, I think it's actually a great conversation, you know, about leadership, especially everything that's going on now. It's kind of like, obviously it's on men to lead, but as you guys were saying earlier, what makes a good leader? You know, a leader, unfortunately, you talk about emotions. I understand what Mandrill is saying, but I think from my experience leading teams, you have to be as a leader, you have to be stoic. You can't care about their feelings. You have to understand how to manipulate their feelings in order to help get the job done. And I think what ends up happening is when you have someone who is so infatuated with how using the emotions, right, worrying about the emotions overall, then that's the biggest problem, right?
You're not worried about emotions overall. That's not what I said, and that's not stoicism. What you're describing.
No, I know. I'm saying you got to be. What is he point? Oh,
he's pointing to you because you're wrong. That's not stoicism.
What is he pointing to me?
And that's not what I described.
No, I'm talking about that's though. He's shaking.
Yeah, you see, because you're wrong. That's why.
I'm saying men have to be stoic, right? If you weren't,
yeah, but you're not describing stoicism.
What is stoicism to you?
It ain't to me. I've done like 3 videos on it so far.
What is stoicism to you?
Stoicism is aware of the emotions. You're aware of those people's emotions and how they feel. So you take that data into consideration as to when it comes to assigning them to a task that's best suited for their skill set.
So here's
an example. For example, you got a person you know full well. You take them out on patrol. They're going to be a nervous wreck. They're shaky. They got an itchy trigger finger. You're not going to take that person. You don't want to be in the car with him. You put him behind a desk, and you take someone who's more still and controlled, and let them go out there and patrol. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. You have to be able to speak to a person's emotions. You don't cater to them. You don't cater to their emotions. You have tasks to do. So when you have tasks to assign to people, you take in their emotional state and the emotional tendencies that they have when it comes to delegating tasks.
I thought you guys were saying that leaders need to be emotional.
No. You don't make You don't make irrevocable decisions based on temporary emotions. No, that's not what I'm saying.
My bad. I came in under the impression you guys were saying leaders need to be emotional. I said no.
They need to be aware
of their emotions, because you don't want to fly
of their emotions and that of the people that they're trying
people around them. Yes.
As a leader, if you're not, you have to understand the emotions of the people you're leading so that you can effectively lead them properly.
Yes.
You have to
That's
be able to.
Saying.
You have to be able to manipulate those emotions in order for them to get the job done. Absolutely. You can't care.
Manipulate.
That's
what we're doing.
You don't have to manipulate them.
That's what we're doing.
But that's what effective leaders do, manipulate those emotions to get the job done. I mean,
that's pimping, bro. This what we're doing.
Hey, listen, with the dusty hand. So I think you guys are looking at it the wrong way.
Okay.
Because again, you're saying a leader has to care about their emotions. No, leaders don't care. A real leader doesn't care. A leader does what's necessary and says what's necessary for the people to be effective and do their job accordingly. That's what I've seen. I mean, I don't know what type of leadership you guys are used to seeing. That's
real leadership.
Well, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, you don't take the last one into consideration, which I said was read to lead. If you read about old leaders, especially Marcus Aurelius, and other leaders who lived, the great ones who are remembered, they do care about their people's emotions who are under their leadership. They do care about these people's mental state. They do care about these people's livelihood, because when you care about people, you lead them better.
Yeah.
Now there might be situations where, hey, somebody gonna have to probably fall on this sword. And if it's you care about everyone else enough to know that, okay, it would be better for me to fall on this sword and take the hit as opposed to throwing someone else under the bus. Now, if it would be better for someone else to fall on that sword, you made that decision. It just depends on the circumstance.
So is it situational?
Yeah, I've been saying that since I've been here.
No, I'm saying you're saying it's situational, but
it's circumstantial.
I'm going to say no, it's not situational.
No, I mean, you
have to take it to a person. No. Hold on. Before you go, Nathan and Mandrell, if me and Mandrell's in the store tonight, and me and you and Scam in the store, and there's a lot of women in the store, we all shopping, and a gunman comes in that store, you're not going to look at that lady and say, "Baby, can you please come here?" You're going to say, "Get your ass on the fucking floor," or "Bring your ass here." You're not going to be playing. If I'm in the store with my wife, I'm not going to say, "Baby, can you?" No.
Again, dude.
Get your no, but Scam saying it should be all the way around. It's basically
no. That's not what you're missing. You're missing our point.
What are you talking about?
Wait, our point is you have to be able to speak to a person's emotions in leadership. Those circumstances you're talking about, of course, you're gonna have to swing into action. You're gonna have to make sharp decisions on the fly.
So let me ask you this, Mandrell.
It doesn't make any sense. It's a real question.
Mandrell, to your point,
if you're in leadership and Nathan likes to cry because he stumps his toe, Mr. Bennett, hands of steel. They don't shake.
There you go.
Pose. The more pressure you put on him, the more he focuses. Now, which am I going to give the most important task to? I've just taken these two men's emotional state, evaluated it, in order to make a good decision to delegate tasks to whomever.
Depends on the task.
It depends on exactly the most important task, the most critical one. I want someone who's going to focus, who's going to get things done, and I don't have to worry about them shaking or folding and things like that. So I give Nathan something else to do that's not so critical. And that's something that's also suited to his skill set. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean by you do have to care about a person's emotions.
So
you do have to learn how to speak to people's emotions.
So let me ask you this, Mandrell. I think you make a good point. When you have a situation where you have someone who is showing the inability to persevere, right? They're lacking the courage to complete the task in the moment, and you're the leader. You're saying you have to care, you have to care, you have to care. Is it true, or do you believe it's true, that you necessarily as a leader, you really don't necessarily have to really care or give a damn, but you need to convince them that you do in order for them to do the job? Is that a thing as a form of a leader?
I got pushback.
Or do you think that you actually have to really care? Or do you have to be able to psychologically motivate them in order to do the job? taking the
I think
emotion out
it
of it.
depends on your mandate.
Exactly. It depends on the
It's-
mandate. It depends on the
like I said
job you're
earlier,
doing. Depends on what you're
it's your supply.
leading.
It's your supply. It's your
Yeah, but-
access. Like I said, this is all supply side here. It's the access to who you have, the skill set of who you have, and again, what your mandate is. Again, for a lot of these people talking about this, sort of dictatorial, everybody talking about Vince Lombardi being this guy who's just draconian in his leadership. But again, NFL in the 60s, you didn't have free agency. Okay. You didn't have to, if you didn't play for him, they can get you out of the league. So again, when you have people who have options to work at wherever they want, if you got the skill set to say, I want to go, I can work in any position. If you're going to keep that person there, they're only going to tolerate certain conditions. Like now you got it where people have, if you're skilled, you can say, I want to work from home full, 7 days a week or going full time. If I come say, no, you got to be here every day. If I got options, I can walk. So a lot of it depends on the options of the people you're trying to lead. If they can go somewhere else, you better change the way you address that. And again, that is also surveying, again, a leader using what Mandel was talking about, being able to survey, what do I have, what are my options and what are their options?
Correct. Well,
and then being the one to play and then play the game the way it's supposed to be played. I think where you're going with it, Brother Nathan, is as far as being able to manage, or in your case, sometimes manipulate. I get, we don't like that word, but I think it does happen. But that's what I think effective leaders do. You have to have the board and look at that board and see, what do I, how can I strategically work this thing? But if you're going to try to be one way with everybody, it's not going to,
But go ahead, Scam. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll give you a great example. Once upon a time in this place called the Crustosphere, there were these people and there was these leaders, and they somehow manipulated and violated trust among some of the people. Then they saw themselves grabbing the microphone, getting bent over and stroked out by the Nation of Wigwam. I don't know, this could have been recently. This could have been a long time ago. We don't know. But somehow all the people didn't come up and defend, no, don't talk to my leader like that. He's an honest, he or she is an honest individual. And they've held me down for 5 years. No, that didn't happen, which means, like I said, people are waiting for a time to grease somebody. And manipulation violates trust. And one day it just so happens and comes that there'll be a judgment day. And you're getting mollywopped, drugged, and blistered and clobbered by somebody over a microphone or in real life. You're on your own.
That's such a weak point. That's such a weak point. At the end of the day, somebody is always trying to take your place.
I'm dropping the mic.
Somebody is always trying to take your place. If you are at the top or you are in any form of management, supervised, or leadership position, you better believe that one of your underlings, whether you are a nice and understanding boss or whether you are a dictator, somebody wants your spot. It doesn't matter. Yep. It doesn't matter. That's just the way it is. You can be as nice as you want to be. Somebody wants your spot because you're in charge. You're probably making more money. You have more impact. You have more influence, and they want what you have. Diddy said this years ago. There's always somebody wanting your spot. Always.
But that doesn't mean
somebody's going to take that leader spot. To be honest, it's going to be one of the people in the grease committee.
My point is, no matter what your leadership style is, there's always somebody wanting to grease you.
Yeah, but the thing is, Trey, that's no excuse for you to be a dick. You know what I'm saying? There's no excuse for you to take
tired of everybody wanting everybody to be nice to each other.
No one's saying being nice, but just don't be a jerk.
You come to work, you receive a paycheck, do your job, and go home. That's it. All these parties, and we got to be friends, and we ain't got. Listen, when I was
you don't have to be friends.
When I was on a department, I had 2 friends, and one of them was the girl I was dating at the time. And I heard you say something about people, officers taking their time to respond to calls. That ain't got nothing to do with leadership. If they don't like you, they ain't coming. That's just how it is. They got nothing to do with anything. That has nothing to do with leadership. You could be in the same rank. If that guy don't like you and that call comes out, you put out that call for a 1033 or whatever, officer needs assistance, and they don't like you, they're going to take their time. That's just how it goes. It has nothing to do with leadership.
This is why I told you need to be able to speak to a person's emotions. Emotional intelligence should be a required course for anyone moving into leadership, because you could have avoided that person not liking you if you had the ability to recognize certain patterns
People
and
aren't going
and
to
social
like
cues.
you.
Hey, not everyone's going to like you, Trey. I agree. And to those people, there's nothing you can do about that. A leader's job is to do the best thing that I can do right now.
So don't
Okay.
change your leadership style. If I know that people aren't going to
But your
like me,
leadership
why am
style
I-
is not a
well, why-
one size fit all thing. I think, you know what I'm saying?
I don't care. I'm in charge.
Well,
You got the issue, not me. I'm the boss.
tell you what, keep on with that attitude. See how far that gets you.
Because it works. You talked about Nick
Very
Saban. We talked
effective.
about Bill
Okay.
Belichick. We talked about people who have been successful. There is no monolithic way of leadership. You can get a Tim Duncan who don't say nothing and he leads by example and you just follow behind what he does, or you can get a Nick Saban who's going to tell you how much of a crap you are in every practice. There's more than one way to lead. Just because you don't like it or it doesn't make you feel good doesn't mean that it's not effective.
That's true.
Or
Well,
you
that's
can get
if you got the players that what you just named, Trey. I mean, Tim Duncan's arguably the best power forward of all time. Yeah, it's nice to have that at your disposal as a leader. Or Nick Saban, the fact that he gets all the number one picks out of college every year, and he's the one crying to his boosters about this transfer portal, saying, "Oh, this is going to jeopardize. I'm not going to be in that role anymore." If he starts losing, then is he therefore a great leader then? So
Mr.
like I
Bennett,
said,
Mr.
this
Bennett,
is
by
all
all
about the
means,
supply and the talent that you have. If you
Mr.
got
Bennett,
it, then you can do anything you want.
Mr. Bennett, by all means, we can have this conversation again if that is what happens to Nick Saban, because it will expose him. I don't disagree with you, but I also think that Nick Saban's abilities and the way that he leads is a reason why he keeps getting these recruits. I know for a fact, if you have children respond, and I'm not saying that grown people are children, but I'm just making a point. Children respond to strict leadership and parenting. They do, for the most part. If you ever see a parent who just lets their kid do whatever, typically those kids don't respond well to those parents. They typically have more respect for the parent who actually has standards and will discipline them. They're actually typically better children. In the case of these sports players, and even in the case of employees tend to work better when they know that there's a standard and they can't pull the wool over their supervisor or manager's eyes. They can't play those games because they know there's consequences. There's nothing wrong with being the type of leader that says, "Listen, I don't play games. Don't play with me. I'm not your friend."
Actually,
Right.
that is playing games.
Hey, hold on,
That's
Dusto.
the
Before
very-
you
that
go,
is the very example of playing games.
before you go, Dusto, I'm gonna say this. Also, another one that comes to mind, if we all watch the documentary and watch the footage, is that damn bald-headed, dark-skinned guy that wore that red uniform with 23 on the front of it. I mean, to the point where
Black man, he was a horrible leader, right?
Oh my! They say he's a horrible leader, but he got 6 chips. So my thing is,
okay.
Hold on, Michael Jordan will walk in practice.
He's the best. He's the best.
Right, Michael Jordan.
He didn't do any, and again, but it's about time because he didn't do anything until Scottie Pippen got there.
Right,
The Celtics was sweeping them with a 63-point performances before Scottie Pippen got good. So again, it's about the talent you have. You can say anything you want.
Right, I'm talking about the leadership style. Walking in, Steve Kerr. He said, "What the fuck you laughing at? We ain't won nothing." Right, Steve Kerr still laughing. He two-pieced his ass. Right, or we had a bad game tonight. I scored 50. These motherfuckers didn't score nothing. Hey, stewardess, don't feed them tonight. They not eating. And the stewardess wouldn't feed them.
Yeah, right. Here's the thing. Michael Jordan today.
Ask Scottie.
Not a lot of people like him.
Hey, but look at him though.
Hey,
yeah, because he had Scottie Pippen.
Yeah,
he had Scottie Pippen. Everyone wants to forget that.
Ask one Chicago Bulls player if they give their ring back.
Exactly.
Ask
on
one
the documentary,
player on team if they give their ring back.
On the documentary, that's what they said. They said Michael Jordan was an asshole. He said, but looking back on it now, I probably wouldn't have championships if it wasn't for this man.
Okay.
Again,
cool.
We're not arguing that.
I'm not arguing with it.
The other
talent.
Mr. Bennett, I agree with you. It does take talent.
Yeah, it does.
It also takes a certain a person to be able to deal with those type of leaders. I think Scottie Pippen was was a better fit to be able to work with Michael than other people would have. A lot of guys would have folded under Michael. Shaq and Kobe couldn't get along, right? So a lot of guys can't deal with that. But Pau Gasol worked out well. Lamar Odom worked out well. It does take. Listen, I'm not saying that everybody is fit for that type of leadership, right? I've had both. I've had great leaders who were nurturers and understanding, and you, hey, look, I got this going on, and they will work with you. But I've also had some great leaders who would say, I don't care. You were supposed to be here at 8, be here at 8. They both were effective.
And keep in mind, Kobe too, rest in peace in the heaven to him. But Kobe, even what Shaq told the story at his funeral that made everybody laugh when they were just crying, is he said, hey, bro, the team upset with you. They said that you hogging the ball. Ain't no I in team. He said, shit, it's an M and E in that motherfucker, though. And that was Kobe's mindset. Kobe, like, give me the ball. I'm going to take over the game. Ain't nobody else shooting this motherfucker but me. Get your ass back. Give me the ball and get your ass out my way.
Okay, here's the thing.
Pistons whooped that ass though, didn't they?
Right. Here's the thing.
Hey, but how many rings they got?
One versus five.
I mean, what are we talking about?
Stop it. One versus five.
Come on now.
And here's the thing. I'm not saying that you and your team won't be a success like that, but you asked me what the best course of leadership is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a leader who's an all-arounder. Which means it takes a lot of work. And like I said, there are 5 categories that goes into leadership. Leaders control what they can control. This is even in your personal life. A leader controls only what he can control. You focus on what you can do. Your job is to do the best you can right now with the things you have. You know, if you don't have something you need, go get it. If you can't go get it, make it. A leader does not act rashly. You understand emotions, and you need the ability to manage emotions so you don't make a terminal decision. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to rush into it. A good leader looks for teachable moments, even in the worst case scenarios. You look at what can I learn? Take the New England Patriots. They drafted Tom Brady, 5th round, something like that.
6th
okay, 6th round. Fast forward to Drew Bledsoe getting hurt. I was a big Drew Bledsoe fan at the time. Bledsoe gets hurt. The second stringer comes up. He gets hurt. Tom Brady comes up. He gets up there and kills it. They go to the Super Bowl that year. He takes it to the Super Bowl. What do the New England Patriots do? Yeah, they were glad that they drafted him and they had him, but they looked at, okay, yeah, we good. It's good. Let's celebrate now. Let's look at where we messed up. How in the world did we let this guy go 6 rounds without being drafted? How in the world was he sitting 3rd on the bench? What about our data made us make such a terrible decision? And that's the way you got to look at it. Yes, it was success. Yes, but what were they looking? What was the teachable moment? Where they messed up? How did they let this guy go overlooked for so long?
Right.
And so overlooked so grotesquely? This guy's now arguably the greatest quarterback of all time.
And guess what? Mandrell?
It's not an argument.
And guess what, Mandrell?
Yeah, that was their data. They're like, where did we mess up with our data?
And guess what, Mandrell? And guess what kind of leader? And guess what kind of leader he turned into?
Who, Brady?
No.
Fair enough. Look, fair enough. So, fair enough. Here's the thing: some people need that in order for them to follow, or in order for them to get you, in order for you to get them motivated to do the task at hand that you've assigned them. Some people do. Other people need a different style of leadership. You need to understand both sides. There's not just both sides. There's several sides of leadership. That's why you need to understand emotions, understand how to manage them. Also speak to a person's intellect as well, because you don't want to insult them by making them feel dumb. Your communication skills have to be on point. You have to know how to talk to people. You know, like take for instance, when I first showed up to YouTube, one style of communication, one style of leadership.
Damn right.
And it made me infamous because, and the thing is, that's not who I really am.
Man, just stop.
I'm that person when I need to be.
But guess what though?
But that's not me natively.
But guess what though, man, Jared? From me coming from that background of having leaders like that, I saw straight through you. And that's why I said, hey, Mandrell, man, you need to come over here and get on the channel with me, bro. I think your perspective would be great. A lot of people would enjoy your perspective because I saw that as something like when I grew up, man, I responded the most to those type of men. My football coach, man, listen, bro. My football coach had on our team, we had a thing called Gator, Gata. He had it written on the wall, Gator, and it means get after they asses. That's what it stood
Yeah,
for.
I've
And
heard
he used
that.
to tear. He used to tear. Listen, man. We get out there. He didn't give a damn if your hand was hurting. He didn't give a damn if dudes was crying on the field. Get your ass in this circle. We finna knock the shit out of you for 45 minutes to an hour. And guess what? Everybody took it differently. I took it. I got on the ground. It pissed me off. But some of the dudes over there was crying. But he had the same leadership style for the crybaby like he had for the tough guy.
Got it.
Hey,
And then
Manziel,
and
I got a
again,
question for you.
in that again, hold on. Again, in that environment, for that group of people, that's the leadership style that was the most effective. However, it does not negate the fact that he needs to understand emotions and be able to speak to people's emotions. Because if a person's sitting there crying because his feelings are hurt, and if you yell and scream at, rah, 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 if that's what gives him that pick me up, pop him up, like, hold up, wait a minute, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna let him sit here yelling at me like that. Forget this. And the kids wiping his tears off, and they get out there and start cracking. You know what I'm saying? On the football field. You have to understand, it's just, that's what I'm saying. If you understand that that's where that kid's emotions take him, and you respond to that kid this way, you know how to elicit that response from it. It's like Nathan said, that's what as far as manipulation goes, you shouldn't manipulate. It's a form of communication, effective communication. If you can communicate with a person's intellect and emotions, now you're a bad boy. You have to understand emotions because you have to be able to manage them. Everybody's emotions is going to be different. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying lead with emotions.
Or you could set a standard. And
I'm not saying. Hold on. I'm not saying it depends. Again, it depends on the environment.
Their own emotions.
It depends on the environment, Trey. It depends.
Both. Listen,
now, if you don't,
man, Terrell, both styles work. Both styles work, right? You could look at Dick Vermeil or Joe Gibbs, who were a lot
Notice
more
his name was Dick. Dictatorship.
Hey, but
he would do all that stuff in practice, and he's trying and hugging him on the sideline.
Right. He was actually the opposite. He wasn't a dictator. He was more emotional.
Right.
He was that dictator guy coming out of college. Because again,
not in St. Louis, he wasn't. He was a crybaby.
He was. I'm saying, I go back to the Eagles. All right, I go back to the 1977 when he came to the Eagles.
Hang on, Mr. Ben. I'm trying to make a point. The point I'm trying to make is that when they were winning, both ways can work. The overly emotional guy, he can win too. Leadership styles they're not one type. It can both sides can work. However, I do see a recurring pattern with these sort of F your feelings type leaders. They tend to be more successful over a long period of time.
Not true.
Michael Jordan ain't played basketball in 22 years. Still got the #1 shooter in the world.
I mean, Belichick's got 9 rings, bro.
9 championship rings. What are we talking about? Tom Brady 7.
But he had the GOAT quarterback also. I mean, I think we might be putting too much emphasis on this leadership thing. But like I said, Michael Jordan, was he a leader when he went to the Wizards? No, right? He stunk when he was with the Wizards. So again, if you don't got the talent, if you don't got the pool, and we all know about college always builds on the previous season. Once you get a winning program going, it's easy to get players there. But then once you start losing, then it becomes difficult to get those players to come play for you again. So
I got one question, Black Man.
I think we might be putting too much emphasis on this leadership thing if you ain't got the talent or horses to get the job done with.
Yeah, before you go, Dusto, going back, I will say this and I'll land my plane. When I played football, the emotional guys that couldn't take that direction or that leadership, guess what it was? Sitting their asses on the bench. They never played unless somebody got hurt. And even right now, if you look at Deion Sanders in Colorado, what did he say the first day he was there?
I'm coming.
He said, I'm coming and I'm bringing my luggage with me.
I'm bringing my luggage with me. And
meaning I'm bringing some dogs with me. You emotional motherfuckers got to go. I'm bringing my dogs with me. He said, matter of fact, y'all about to start hitting that transfer portal now. Y'all about to start hitting it now because I'm bringing my dogs with me. And his coaching style is different. It is.
Like Black Man, even when I was in the military, like when I supervised guys, I was trying to make trade deals to try to get rid of some guys. Like, don't you want to take them? I was trying to trade them out because they were overly emotional. And I'm like, I don't want to have to deal with this. I want you to come to work. Do your job and go home. I don't want to deal with it.
Hold on. I see what's going on here.
Go ahead.
Hold on, Trey, because y'all all, I put you back on track. Y'all got off track again. I'm not saying the leader must be emotional. I've said time and time again, You cannot make rash decisions based on emotions. You can't do that. No. However, what I said was you have to understand emotions, manage emotions, and be able to speak to your subordinates' emotions. You have to be able to speak to those. It's a form of communication for the 4th time tonight.
Yeah,
You have to be able to. You have
I got
to.
a question.
Go ahead.
Black Man and Nathan Daly. Because Michael Jordan, I guess, is the best leader in the world. That's why people getting shot, stabbed over the shoes and whatever, and F their feelings.
That ain't got nothing to do with Michael Jordan.
But
That has nothing to do with Michael Jordan. But it has nothing to do with Michael Jordan.
That has nothing to do with Mike. What people do
about nothing to do with Michael Jordan.
Hold on, Black Man. There's this dude named Jesus. I want to know where he said F your feelings. I want to know what scripture that was.
When he went flipped over them tables?
Or Nation of Islam. I want to know where he said F your feelings. We don't need to care about how people thinking how
when he went flipped over them. Let's start one at a time. You said Jesus. When he went flipped over them tables, went and act a fool and turned them tables over because they was in the acting a goddamn fool.
He didn't say F your feelings.
Is that what he said?
So hold on.
You're making an extreme that doesn't apply to, just like you were saying, if an active shooter situation is going on and a woman's in the way and you're like, come on, get over here. That is actually caring about her feelings. Because if she gets popped, she has no more feelings.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
It's a false narrative just pushed that you got to be this soft guy. That's
it's
not
also
what
it's also a dictatorship because you didn't give her an opportunity to retort. Maybe she didn't want to go over there.
Here we go.
She wanted to go somewhere else.
This is what we're talking. This is what we're dealing with.
Hey, now, okay, so Mandrea and y'all got leadership figured out, right? So this is what I want y'all to do. I want you, Mandrea. Say for instance, Dustin.
How about when I come back? How about when I come back? When I come back, I'll do a show on leadership. How about that?
That's fine. You can do a show on leadership, but we're still gonna push back on your ass because I think this whole leadership thing. I think that going into it like y'all are like, I think you have to be. I don't mean to say this word because I know it's bad in these spaces, but you have to be a chameleon or something, right? You have to.
You're proving my point.
No. Hold on. I know I am. Give me a moment. I'm saying is that I think overall, like Mr. Bennett said earlier about the coaching situation, how he is off the field versus he is on the field, it's night and day, right? But if we on this battlefield, I'm gonna be on your ass. But if we in the locker room and we ain't got no game, okay, cool. Hey man, what's going on? Hug you out. Hey, how's your family? Everything going? But you got to understand, and this is one of the things Dion tell his boys. You have to understand when we on that field, that's our job. That's our livelihood. I'm not going to be babying nobody. I don't give a damn about that. Right?
You know damn well Dion cares about his people.
No, he does.
Mandrell,
he does, but not on the field. He's different on the field than he is in the locker room.
Mandrell, when you were deployed, were they worried about your feelings overseas? Be honest. Did they care?
Oh. About what?
When
I was
in Iraq in 05 and 09, they didn't give a damn about my feelings. Nobody asked me how I felt or what my emotions were.
Okay.
Your report time is this time. Be here, bring your M4, be ready to work.
Right. Well, in that case, Trey, again, circumstantial. We were all feeling the same way. None of us wanted to be there. We were all scared.
Man, you were scared?
Yes. I'm human.
Black man, if you're sane, you're scared.
Yes.
Anybody who's over there that says they weren't scared, they're insane. Something's wrong.
Full of, or they're just flat out full of it, Trey.
No, they're full of it. They're lying.
Everybody's scared. Everybody's scared.
Mandrell, if given the option, now dictatorship or what in a situation where people can't pick and choose because of survival, you can bully people and not care about the feelings and get away with it because it's survival. Mm-hmm. But if given the option, how many people would volunteer to do what you did?
Oh, nobody. Very few.
And that very thing with leadership, now that feminism came into play, women are volunteering and they're opting out.
Man, I'm following the leadership of who's winning. Who winning? That's what I want.
You'll find out they're not really winning like you think they are. Because you're being like you asked for manipulation. You want to manipulate. Go ahead and follow some manipulators and see where you end up.
I'm following the leadership of somebody who's proven, and it's proven that they are winning. I'm not even talking
How
about
they prove if they're manipulating?
in the corporate world. If their company is doing well and they're in the black every year, I'm following them because they
So you'll
obviously
follow
they obviously
Enron.
figured.
So you'll follow Enron.
You want to
It
pick
was
one
doing
company.
great, wasn't it?
You want to pick
They're
one company.
manipulated.
You want to pick one company.
Now, let's give you an example.
I can give you 500 other examples that
Let's take the Manosphere. They're doing great, ain't
well.
they?
Another one is Lehman Brothers. You gonna follow Lehman Brothers?
Why not?
Now I don't agree. I don't agree 100%. I don't agree 100% with the Manosphere. I don't. But
Look at the results.
I'm gonna say something Jay-Z. I'm gonna say something Jay-Z said. People lie, numbers don't. Them motherfuckers making a living. Let's just be real.
You're proving my point.
Let's just be real now.
No, that's the point.
What's the point?
They still don't get it. They still don't get it.
Explain it to me.
I'm not even gonna tell you the point. Figure it out.
Okay, it's cool.
I'm not telling
y'all want people to be sweet and be caring.
Nobody said that at all.
And love on you. And
you completely missed the message. You went right over your head.
You don't really have to do all your work today. You could just do a third of it, and then we could probably work it out on the rest of the week. And you know what? Don't worry about meeting your deadline. We can always push the deadline.
Okay. Let's take your example. And let me take your example. All right. Let's say you have an employee who's stellar. They're on point. They're on time all the time. Their tasks are done before the deadlines. All of a sudden, they were right at the border at making their deadline. And instead of being at work 15 minutes early, they're now there 4 minutes early. Do you see where this is going? Do you ask that person, hey, is everything okay? Or do you just ignore it like nothing happened and then wait until they mess up? Wait until they mess up like a certain number of times and then write them up.
No, what I do is I have during my staff meeting, I kindly remind my staff of the standard and what time you're supposed to be here. And I do it in front of everybody so that I know. That's how I send a message that, hey, I've noticed that you are starting to come into work 11 minutes later than what you normally do.
Exactly.
So I send a message to everybody during my staff meeting saying, hey, just to let you guys know, this is the standard. This is what time you're supposed to be here. Now, after that, if they continue to taper off, I've already done what I was supposed to do as a leader because I reminded you. Now you have to suffer the consequences of your tardiness.
Wow. All right.
Hey, but you know what? That's corporate America for your ass, boy.
And look how wait, black man. Look at how much everybody loves corporate America.
No, what I'm saying is
that's a good point, Madra.
That's a good point, Madra. But what I'm saying is that corporate America for your ass. I see it.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Still not how corporate America works at all.
Right.
Again, it's based on talent. If you are getting it done like the way this guy's balling and getting it done, you can be 10 minutes late at times, and no one's going to say. Again, you get the job done, you get privileges. Michael Jordan, my man, could be gambling and doing all that stuff all night. In fact, he did that. He would gambling and do stuff before games and show up. He didn't have a curfew.
That's true.
But he's the greatest player in the world. So Phil let him do what he wanted to do. So again, a lot of stuff.
They definitely let Dennis Rodman go to Las Vegas.
If you can ball, if you can do the job and get it jump, says like I don't care what your hours are. I don't care, especially in this online virtual. People don't care about being there on your computer from 8 to 5 or whatever. Get it done on the times that is due, and I don't care what you do after that.
But that's why I wanted to make the statement. Like, if I notice that my number one guy is tapering off a little bit, I just send that subtle message to everybody. If this is the guy that I think it is, he gets the message, right?
Why don't you pull him to the side one-on-one?
Because I don't need to. Because if this is the guy, if this is my number one guy, more than likely, I barely have to talk to him anyway. If he's a guy that's responsible, he's doing his job, he's always on time. I very rarely have to talk to him.
But you notice him slipping.
Worried about.
But you notice him slipping now.
Slipping because he's 10 minutes later than usual? You call that slipping?
So that's what
that's
I'm saying.
become a new constant.
That's a minutia right there. I mean, you're gonna talented guys. You're gonna lose those people if you're gonna be that strict. Guy comes in 10, still on time, but instead of 15 minutes early, he's 4. And you're going to try to call him out or put him to the side? That's why
I said, Mr. Bennett.
No,
I do it subtly. I give everybody the same message.
No, Mr. Bennett, what I'm saying is, if you see a person who's been stellar, but now you see all of a sudden you notice this pattern of downfall.
That's
what
not
I'm
the
saying
scenario
is,
I'm painting.
no, what I'm saying is they're getting late. They're getting there late. They're still on time, but they're getting there later, right? And they're still getting their test done on time, but it's taking them longer and longer to do it. You notice this pattern of them going down.
Yeah, that doesn't
You
make
pull,
sense.
hold on. You pull them.
Let
me finish. You pull them aside. I would pull them aside. Hey, not in trouble or anything like that. Just asking, is everything? Are you okay?
That I agree. That I agree with. All right.
That's what I'm saying. Trey was like, no, I have a
you're
self
taking
meeting.
the time to care for the individual, saying, "Hey, is everything okay?"
That's all
Well,
I'm
if
saying.
you're going to get on them for being 11 minutes late, if the needling is, and there are people like that. If you get there usually 15 minutes early. Now you get there 5 minutes early, and they're going to call you out for being, because you're not being consistent the way you were, rather than caring about their well-being. That's what I'm talking about. And again, what you said that was contradictory. You said again, if you're still getting the job done on time the way you're supposed to, but you're showing up a little later, or there's some things that you're manipulating around, why does that bother you? If they're still delivering at the time that they're doing it, they're not slipping up on what they're delivering.
Right, they're not doing that. But the thing is, do you
hold
on? You ask, what I would do it. In my opinion, the proper thing to do is before this becomes an issue, because it's not even an issue, let alone a problem. If you see the down slope, why don't you pull them to the side and say, "Hey, is everything okay? Are you okay?" No, why do you ask? Do you explain to them why they ask? Nothing wrong with you. You're not doing anything wrong. However,
it's what you led with.
Well, I didn't get a chance to finish, Mr. Bennett. So I mean,
he wants to let
all
him
right,
know
sir.
he wants to let him know.
You know what I'm saying? I just want to let him know that, hey, I noticed
that he cares. But for me, I'm not saying anything because it could be something as simple as he bought a new house somewhere else and he's further out. So he's still on time. He's still doing his work. He's still doing everything. But maybe he's 10 minutes further out than what he was before. He's still getting there on time and or early. He's still producing. There is no need to pull him aside and have a one-on-one. It's a waste of time. And I'm singling him out. And he may think, dang, is he watching me? How did he know that?
Right.
I'm looking at
your you do have, but we have to admit there are micromanagers who do get down like that.
They do.
And again, it turns out people off.
And let me tell you this real quick. I love to go. I love my church. I do. But they call me in there and they say, "Hey, listen, would you like to lead praise and worship for us for the next 3 weeks?" I say, "Okay, cool." I go in. I tell these people I'm leading it this week. Here's the music. This is what we're going to do. We're going to have Thursday rehearsal at 7 p.m. sharp. At 6:50, you get here at 6:45. You got 15 minutes to talk, hug everybody. At 7 o'clock, the music's playing. We in the microphones, period. All right, Thursday come, 7 o'clock. I'm the only one there. I'm there at 6:30. 7 o'clock, only one there. 7:15, only one there. 7:20. They coming in the door 7:35, 7:45, thinking I'm playing a game. Then, fast forward to Sunday. Hey, be here for sound check at 8 a.m. They coming in at 8:45. But then you want to swell up on me because I'm a dude, man. Listen, bro, I'm a stickler for time, bro. I hate being late and I hate people that be late. I'm always going to be an hour or 30 minutes ahead of everything that I'm doing. And for me, I sit down and tell these people, how can you not be here on time? Well, I can't get up. Everybody not blessed with the ability to get up on time. No, I ain't trying to hear that. I'm not trying to hear that. You need to be here on time or don't come. And a lot of people, and they tell me, and a lot of people stay 10 minutes away from the church. I stay 45 minutes away and I'm getting there an hour early. Y'all coming in 35 minutes late and y'all 10 minutes away? Mm-hmm. That's a problem for man. I promise you. I don't even want to talk about it. I know I'm gonna get super passionate.
But black man, why not?
Some of them solos.
But black man, why don't you? Why not? Be understanding to why they're late. Bring them in the office. Give them a hug. Offer some coffee and some cookies. What's wrong with that?
And I'm saying you're gonna cuss everyone soloist who everyone comes to see. Now that takes guts if you're gonna do that.
I've been there several times.
Here's a better thing. What is it that they are on time for?
A job.
A job?
No, here's the thing. They're on time. Here's the thing. They're on time for something. What is it that is doing?
What do you mean?
You're not doing? There's another, and the other thing is there's another church, Jenkins Baptist Church or some other church where they're showing up on time. Somebody's doing something and they're showing up on time and showing up early and staying late. Find out what it is that they're doing.
Why would I go to another church? I'm talking about the people that's in under my authority. Listen, I need you here on time. But that's the thing. See, that's what I'm saying. If you never done it, you can't really talk about it.
Facts.
When everything at church is in a time bracket, the pastor wants you there at 8 o'clock for sound check. At 8:30, he wants to meet with all the people, the leaders. I'm one of the leaders. I got to be in that meeting at 8:30. So that means I got to get you in here and get this sound check done in 15 minutes. I can't have you coming in at 8:25 giving me 5 minutes.
So let me get this right. Your leader has a way to get y'all there on time. But now that you're leading the other people, they're not coming on time.
No.
So now you know who to talk to.
That's what you said. You said you're coming in. They asked you, would you want to take that over? So someone was doing it before you, and was it a problem before you got there?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this.
The person that quit before me, or that stopped doing it before me, had a problem with them being on time.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this. The leaders meeting. There's a leader who has y'all and y'all are there on time, correct?
Yes.
So there's somebody in the building who's able to get people there on time.
Mm-hmm.
But then on your level of leadership, they ain't coming on time. So you know who to talk to.
What?
Now, what is he doing to get y'all on time that you're not doing to get them on time?
Because we're already there.
Leaders of leaders don't have problems with time.
Right.
Because the leaders of leaders, that they understand they need to be at. When I used to have staff meetings, as an E6 have staff meetings, you ain't see nobody showing up late because they knew.
Right.
Did you have a choice?
But did my E3s and E2s and E4s show up late all the time? Yes. Is that a reflection of my leadership? No. Because the standard is, this is the standard.
Say what?
Hang on. So now
what military were you in?
Hang on. So now I got to sit here and write out. I got to sit here and write out a bunch of LOCs to correct behavior. Because according to most people, that's a reflection on you. It's not a reflection on me. I'm on time for everything.
Yes, it's a reflection on you.
No,
I was in the Army.
No, it's not. It's
the
not
E1s, E2s, and E3s weren't late.
So scam. You saying these people being late? They have a history of being late before I even started doing this. You mean to tell me that's still a reflection of me? When I'm leading,
there's a man in your building who's on time, who gets people on time.
He's the pastor.
Okay, you might want to take the pastor to lunch. That's all I'm saying.
And do what?
And kiss his ass.
And do what? Because the pastor called me in to try to fix the situation. That's my point, right? He says a great leader delegates. So he said, hey, listen, if you come and do this, can you have him here on time? Is time a problem for you? No, it's not a problem for me, Pastor. I can be here. I can be here an hour ahead of time. Matter of fact, Dusto, I get the hour ahead of time. I disinfect the microphones, clean up the area, make sure they're good before they get there, right? But they still, and then I asked them, Dusto, that's the problem. Oh, I wish I could video these folks. I asked them, what's the reason that y'all late? You know what one woman said? She said, everybody don't have the ability to get up every morning and be on time. Y'all have to have some grace for people that's not on. She said, I'm never going to be on time for anything. That's just who I am.
Okay, then you're fired.
Yeah, give me somebody else.
Okay, then you're fired.
What I'm the tough guy.
Get him up out of there.
But
you're fired. It's simple enough. You're fired.
You might be waxing a leader too, though.
Right. You just told me you're not going to do your job.
But if you're an E6 and can't get the soldiers there on time,
why are you not asking why? Why can't you get up on
time? She just told me why.
What's going on?
Yeah, because she just told us why.
Yeah, she said
who I am. That's just who I am. Okay, cool. You're fired.
Hold on. I want to know why this E6 can't get E2s and E3s on time in the military. That's all I want to know.
That's right. You heard it right.
I want to know how an E6 can't get E2s.
First of all,
I'd love to know that
Scam,
too.
I'm not doing
it. I gotta know this.
Yeah. How are you unable to motivate an E2 or E3?
First of all, I never had a problem with my troops.
Oh shit!
Mr.
Billy, we go gracefully bow. Mr. Billy, it's that military talk.
You know what? I'm emotional. I'm being emotional. I need 5 minutes.
It was an example. But let's be very clear. I set the standards when you get when you first get a new troop under supervision, you have a form that you have to fill out that lists out all of your expectations from them as you're supervising them. I make it very clear what my standard is, and I also make it very clear what the repercussions and consequences will be if you do not adhere to this standard. I am not one of those guys, and I'm not going to sit there and ask you, well, why? Well, what's
No
wrong?
one's saying you guys. How is this going over here? This is why
I'm
hold
done, man.
I'm almost done too. I'm almost done
I noticed
too.
you were 10 minutes late. I noticed you getting in a little bit. 10
He's
minutes
responding
late.
to something
Is anything
that's
wrong?
not even what we said.
Y'all were sounding real touchy-feely before I came up here. I didn't know what was going
No,
on.
we didn't. And now, Nathan, when I explained to you what I was talking about, did you not comprehend?
Yeah, I came in with the wrong understanding, but when you explained it, I thought y'all were talking about leaders need to be sensitive and emotional.
No. What I said was you need to be able to understand how to manage people's emotions.
You do. And I said manipulate.
Right.
I said manipulate. That might have been the wrong word.
And I understand what you meant. It's just some people don't like that language.
Mandriel.
But I mean, I understand exactly what you meant.
Mandriel and everybody, I had to go repent. Let me tell you what happened. I had to repent. I had to take off from a month from the church. Let me tell you from singing, bro. Let me tell you what happened. We had a guest come in who's I don't know if y'all know this guy, but y'all probably don't know him. But anyway, he came in and did his thing. Zacardi Cortez. I don't know if y'all know him. So we had him come and sing. Great singer. He said, I said, what time? I said, what time?
Church in Houston. I know who he is.
Yeah, that's a great singer, brother. And he said, I said, what time do you want him here? He said, well, I need him here 7:30. I said, okay. I said, oh Lord. I said, y'all, he needs everybody here 7:30 for sound check. I told him, I said, Lord, please let him get here. All right. 7:30 comes, nobody. 7:45, nobody. 7:50, nobody. 8 o'clock, nobody. 8:15, here they ass come through the door. Now, I'm thinking to myself, because 4 of them from the same family. So I'm thinking to myself, damn, they didn't come on time. So when they get there, watch this. Oh, I'm getting PTSD. When they get there, the oldest son, who is 23, 24 years old, he aisle 5 at Walmart. The oldest son walks down the aisle and goes over to the mic, over to the media desk and start talking to the media director, laughing and kikiing. Bro, I said it so, I forgot I was in church. I said, get your big head ass up here so we can sing, nigga. And I said it so loud that it just drove me, bro. Like, it pissed me off that you would come late and act like ain't nothing wrong and you over here talking to the media guy.
Horrible leadership, black man. Horrible leadership. Terrible.
He told me, I don't know who you think you talking to. I'm talking to you. My daughter passed by here laughing. Shut up.
Again, under those circumstances, fine, if that's what works. However, you cannot throw out the fact that you need to be able to communicate to a person's emotions in order to properly lead. You have to be able to delegate tasks. For example, stop. Let me explain.
Chaotic,
Let me explain. Stop. Chaotic, you missed
emotionally bring your ass to work.
What I was saying is, if you're out somewhere, say you're a cop or a soldier, you're gonna send you're a cop and you need to send somebody on patrol. You got to pick a partner. Are you gonna pick the guy who's nervous, itchy trigger finger? He's just scared, afraid of everything. Or are you gonna pick a guy who's calm, level?
First of all,
hold on, let me finish. Calm.
Because you don't know what you're talking about. That's not how it goes.
Let me finish with my example.
But that's not how it goes.
I know it's not. It's a hypothetical.
Most guys don't have a choice of.
We know that, Trey. That's not the point. God damn, dude, you couldn't have been a leader. You don't even listen.
No, I don't listen to bullshit.
And if you were, you're a shit one.
I don't listen to bullshit because you don't know what you're talking about.
It's a hypothetical.
But you've never done the job. Then hypothetically say it correctly. But you've never done the job, so you don't know.
All right. Anyway, I don't want nobody by my side who has an itchy trigger finger, who's afraid of everything. If I'm going into a highly stressful situation, I don't want that. How the hell do you? So in order for me, to delegate, do you take that guy, you put him on the street, or do you put him behind a desk? Was my example.
You put him on the street.
You don't put that guy on the street like that. He's a liability waiting to happen, and you know it.
Again, you don't know what you're talking about, bro.
But if you understand emotions, this is a tool that you use to properly delegate people to the task best suited to their skill set. That's what I'm saying.
Mandrell,
For some reason, you think, yeah, for some reason, you guys are hearing, I'm saying, for some reason, Trey, you're hearing that I'm hearing me say,
I'm trying
you
to
should
figure
buy
out
him flowers, you should be nice
how do
to him.
know-
I'm not
how do you
saying
know
that.
somebody has an itchy trigger finger. Tell me, how do you know? How do you know somebody
Trey,
has an itchy
I've
trigger
never been a
finger?
cop.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
So anyway, that's why it's
all I
called
need to hear.
hypothetical, make believe. And we've seen cops with itchy trigger fingers. Look at that guy who was shot in the car in front of his girlfriend and his baby.
How do you know beforehand?
That guy had an itchy trigger finger.
How do you
now,
know
his partner could
beforehand?
have come over there and told him to calm down.
How do you know beforehand, Mandrell?
Anyway, Lade,
How do you know?
I mean, chaotic. That's what I was talking about when I'm talking about understanding emotions, understanding a person's mindset and things like that, so you can properly put them in a position that's best suited for them.
Chaotic, what's up, man?
That's all I'm saying. So
What's
I
up,
don't
bro?
know where these guys getting this other stuff from.
What's going on, man?
So Chaotic shaking his head, y'all. Let's go ahead, Chaotic.
Well, no, I just got done doing a couple of live streams. I saw that you were live. I don't know exactly what you guys are talking about, but just brush me up real quick, and I want to jump in real quick.
We're talking about leadership, man. What does it look like to you?
Oh,
for a man to lead, yeah.
Oh, just if you have a family, you have children, just leading your household and your children. I think that's the only way a man can actually be a leader. Other than that, I don't see how a man can be. Well, I mean, you heard you guys talking about the military, but I don't necessarily think that's the same as like actual I think leadership starts at the home first. But yeah, that's what I think.
So I'm glad you're here because I want to share something while you're here.
Sure.
And I want to get all the guys' thoughts on this. But here it is. I'm gonna play it for y'all real quick.
Okay.
Let's see. Where's it at? 1 second, guys. I think this is it right here. All right, here we go.
Said.
No, that's not it. That's not it. Hold on. I'm gonna find it. But anyway, go ahead and finish. Chaotic. I gotta find it. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. That's that's how I perceive leadership. Taking care of the family or whatnot. I don't know what you guys were talking about previously.
Chaotic thing.
Oh, yeah. There we go. I was gonna watch that clip. Yeah.
Yeah. So Trey, anybody else want to say something while I'm pulling this video up?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like I said before, leadership is effective in more than one way, right? There's no one particular way to lead. You're going to have some people who lead, and they are not about the feelings and the emotions. They just want you to come to work, do your job, do it well, and go home. You have others who care, and they want to throw you parties and have pizza and cake and all that other, get to know you, and you have more than one type of leadership style.
I agree with that. That's one-on-one leadership style. I just said all I did was initially list some characteristics of what makes a great leader, and then you guys asked me understand emotions. Why do I need to do that? Then I explained in some situations why you need to understand emotions, why you need to be able to speak to someone's emotions and their intellect, and then y'all went on a path that was way off. I don't know where you went. I was going in one direction. Y'all chose to go in a whole another. I don't know why.
Now I'll say this, Mandrell. I think it's because everybody come from different backgrounds. I know I came from a more tougher, get your ass up and get it done background. And most people came from more softer backgrounds. Like
Mandrell came from more of a softer side of Sears, and we know that.
No, I did
not. Even when he smiles, you see the softness in the cheeks. That brother came up in soft beginnings.
Can I ask the guys? Oh, I'm sorry,
man. The tough upbringing, I'm gonna say it. The coming up from the tougher side is actually some of the very problem why people don't understand emotions. Like we talked about traditions. Man ain't supposed to cry because I said so. I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna beat the black off you. How you gonna understand emotions when there's no guidance, there's no conversation, no listening? And they're being taught not to talk and not to listen. There's no conversation being had.
Because I said so could save your child's life.
You're
That's
damn
why I'm
right.
gonna leave it at
It can
that.
also
I'm gonna leave it
take
at
your
that.
child's life.
I get so tired of
Eh,
people saying, "Oh, don't
yeah,
tell your child because I said so."
Because I said so is taking people's
if I'm in a
lives.
store, if I'm in a store and I recognize a threat and I tell my child to come here now, I don't need any back talk. I
You
don't
missed
care
the
what
whole
you want to
point.
do. Do what I'm telling you
You
to
missed
do
the whole
because
point.
it could save your life.
you
You
know,
missed the whole point. All
hold
of
on,
it.
Justo,
I
real
didn't miss
quick,
anything.
Justo.
It's a weak and flat point as usual.
Right, hold on, Trey. Now watch this, Trey. When I was a kid, 15 years
Missed the
old,
whole point.
15 years old, I wanted to go to the mall with all my homeboys. I said, Mama, I'm going to the mall. Is it okay with you? She said, You're not going to no damn mall. I said, wait a minute, I done did my chores. I done mowed the damn yard. Why the hell she telling me no? In my head now, I ain't said it out loud. I wouldn't be here today. But I said, Mama, why can't I go? My mama said, because I said so. I said, okay. I was pissed. Wow, I was hot. I was hot as a pair of panties on prom night. And so I think that late that night or whatever, they went like that afternoon on that Saturday, late that night. And I'll never forget, her name is Ann Kimball. She was the mother of one of the kids. She called my mom and told my mom all of them got arrested for snatch and grab. All of them got arrested. The whole clique got arrested. Guess what those dudes at right now? They've been in and out of jail for the last 20 years.
That's
All
the
of them.
worst example ever heard in my life.
No, it's not the worst example because what if I was with them?
Drop this
Well,
nigga scam.
Is this how we got to go to an example of are you serious?
No, so scam. Hold on. So just for a minute, hypothetically speaking, what if my mama would have let me go?
You'd have been up in there.
You'd have been in and out of jail for the rest of your
What
life.
if my mama would have not gave a damn and let me go?
You know what? I'll say this real quick. I gotta drop.
We gotta use.
No,
I'm saying, how can you
push back? Okay, go ahead.
My bad, Black Man and Scam. I understand what Scam is saying. Scam is not necessarily wrong. I understand what Scam is saying. I think we're all talking about different types of situations. The reality is, if we're looking at protecting someone, it's hard to protect people who don't listen, right? And so if you really kind of just put it in that type of bowl, if a person listens, they can be protected. Some people don't like that disciplinary style of thinking, but I've always been the type of person, if you listen, then that you listening can actually save your life. It can actually protect you. Sometimes some people don't like that idea, but to be honest, it's very true.
Yeah, I'll bet. Let me go deeper into this.
Go ahead.
Because critical thinking is right up there. Effective communication and influence is the top of leadership. Next under that is critical thinking. There was no critical thinking in that example. That's not leadership. So what if you decided, the way your brain processes, because it's trading robots, do as I say, because I said so. Never go to the mall because people are going to do this.
My mama said, hold on, Scam. Miss Cam, but you misquoted me. I never said my mama said never go to the mall.
No, I'm talking about how you gave the example.
On that particular day when they pulled up in the car with the music loud, driving down the street like a goddamn idiot, my mama told me because I said so.
No, you're missing what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this. I've seen people in the because I said so's turn 18 and go to college. What do you think they did? Now that they have the option, ran a damn fool, and they didn't know why because no one told them anything.
Okay, so give me an example. Give me an example of if you had a kid right now, and your kid say, "Daddy, I will play the kid." Daddy, no, ain't no what ifism.
How many people got kids on the panel first? That'll kind of straighten it.
Well, I have kids.
Nathan Bailey. We've all been kids before.
That's not the point though. Who has kids? Trey, you got children? We know Black Man. Black Man.
Yep, I do.
Mr. Bennett, Mandrell.
Yep. Nope.
All right.
No
Chaotic.
kids.
All right, and Scam. All right, Scam. No kids. I don't have any children. So though we have all been children, I do agree with that, and I do understand what Scam is saying. I agree with what Scam is saying. I also believe that there are instances where
Mama knows best.
Look at the world and tell me if Mama really knew best. I'm not saying your mama, but did Mama know best? Look at the world.
Does the exception doesn't take away from the. You get what I'm saying? Like I think we're trying to point out that there are some people where it doesn't work out for them.
Right. I'm trying to address it as a whole.
You're trying to address it as an entire whole. Okay.
Yes, because I'm talking. I mean, there's an audience, And you get what I'm saying. I'm trying to address it as a whole. I'm talking about solutions. I'm talking
general
critical thinking.
Right.
I'm talking critical thinking. I'm talking influence. Influence and critical thinking. Conversations, which requires active listening. Influence comes from building trust. Positive examples, stuff that people see, stuff that people also feel. Because I said so does none of that. It actually restricts it.
Okay, so let me ask
you don't think you just go out and do. That's what you teach. That's what it teaches a person to do. Now, hold on. Hear me out.
I'm gonna ask you a question. Go ahead.
If you have proper influence and critical thinking, and you transfer those skills to a person, once per year, once every 2 years, when you do say "because I said so," they know you mean business, and they're going to trust you. This is why there's 17, 18, 19-year-old girls that go to college or go to the military. They weren't taught. They grew up in this Catholic strict church with this freaking triple-breasted suit on, pinned into a corner. Don't do nothing because I said so. They run a damn fool.
This is this BS liberal parenting, where now it's because I said so with an explanation. That's where we at now. It was because I said so. That was the end of it. No more. Don't back talk.
How did that work out, Trey?
Now it's I don't know, but in my family,
no. How did that work out?
How did it work out?
Trey, it's called gentle parenting. It's called gentle parenting, Trey.
Yeah, exactly.
Trey, you're a police officer.
It's
how did it work out?
There were homes that I went into. If Dad said this ain't happening, it ain't happening. That was the end of it.
This is what we're doing.
There was no. Oh well, but no. Dad said this is not. It's not going down.
This is what we're doing.
There were times there were moms who did.
So Scam, let me ask Scam this. Scam. So do you? K-Dog, I got you right after this. Scam, do you believe in gentle parenting? Because what you're defining is gentle parenting.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I talked about effective leadership.
And what does it look like?
Black man, check your Instagram. I'm about to send you something. This is gentle.
What I'm saying is this: y'all are moving all the way to the goalpost, all the way into the sensitive sphere, to where if you don't say "I don't say it so," then you're some kind of beta simp that says, that is not what I'm talking about.
No, but my question is, I'm saying, Scam, like if you were a father, that's why I was trying to ask you earlier. If you this is how I get clarity. If you were a father and your son came to you and you knew that the dudes that were in the neighborhood were pretty bad for your son, and this is me asking you, what would you do in this situation?
Have a conversation.
Right. Your son said, I want to go to the mall with them. You knew these were bad boys. What would you say to your son?
It's a whole conversation. That's a teaching moment. And to be honest, sometimes in teaching, there's allowed some freedom to go and make some good or bad decisions. Because people are going to do what they want to do. You can't cage them into the garage and say, stay here till you're 18. That doesn't work either.
I'm saying I don't think that's what there's. I don't think that's what.
No, I'm saying because they keep moving to these extremes.
Yeah, but I think that's an extreme. Like that's an extreme example that you're giving. No one is saying.
You want a real life example?
No. I'm just saying when people say, "Hey, you need to." You're like if you have a young girl, you're gonna say, "Hey, don't wear that. That's inappropriate when you go out." You know, you're saying you need to bring context, educate, explain, so forth and so. Yeah, okay, maybe the first time.
Why can't I wear
that? I'm saying if you want to be effective.
I understand.
Go ahead, Nathan.
Effective parent, but what you're saying is correct, Scam. To be an effective parent, you're saying it's easy to go through an explanation, give context to it, educate your child on why, what, when. Okay, I get that, but there are certain things that as children, when they are told to follow instructions, they need to just follow it. Not everything requires a whole dissertation.
Explanation.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
that's right. That's what I was saying. There are times where, that's why I'm saying stop moving it. Well, what if this happened and there was an active shooter? Come on.
And that's how you get confused. Everyone's moving the goalpost.
And I'll give you an example.
Goalpost. Everybody's saying
that's exactly what you've been doing.
No.
Hold on, Nathan. That's how what I said went over so.
They're making it an A and B with this extreme. What I'm saying is this. I'll give you an example.
Everything's an extreme.
No, here's the deal.
Shit happening every day. But go ahead.
Well,
the two people on the panel who got parents are telling you, as a parent, if we tell you our children to do something, they need to do it. To scams, what Scam is saying, he's correct. He's pointing out how has that worked within our community because we've just been telling kids to sit down, shut up, don't go here, don't go there. It has had a negative effect, right? So now what we're seeing is that kids are now more rebellious under this type of parental structure. What Cam is leaving out, it's not about the parental structure, it's about the culture, right? The culture is the issue, not what the parents are saying. The parents are telling the kids what they need to do. The culture is contradicting with the parents' teachings. That's the real issue. It's not what the parents are saying. The kids want to do what they want to do, and they're going against what the parents are saying. That's what I observed. The parents are giving the proper instruction. The kids are choosing to do what they want because of the culture and the environment that they're in.
As well as I'm saying, you're looking at a culture of people who can't critically think at all. They can't think. They didn't have the conversations. They're not even used to it.
Every generation of children has been rebellious. That's par for the course. That's going to happen.
That's true.
So this idea,
but didn't that generation grow up under the "I told you so"? Because I said,
but I'm saying, Mr. Bennett, it doesn't matter. There's always going to be some level of rebellion through teenage years. It's almost you can bank on it. Your child is going to rebel on you at some point in time. They want to do things their way. And at some point in time, we got to get out of, well, I need to explain it. Now, here's the thing. I don't necessarily disagree that you can't, like, I'm not saying I would never explain anything to my child, but if I'm out and I say to do something and then you don't do it, we're going to have some serious issues. Just do it. I may explain it to you on the car ride home. I may explain it to you when we get home. Hey, this is why I had to do this.
That's fair. I agree with that.
But in that moment, when I tell my daughter or my son to do something, they better do it. And don't
Trey, that's fair. That wasn't what I was referring to.
The answer is going to be because I said so. That's going to be the answer.
Okay, I'm going to say it like this. Because I said so is the absolute lowest of the low level of influence. It is the actual bare bottom when it comes to influence. Actually, it's not influential. The best leaders are influential. Because who you are, they want to follow, and they want to do what you say. That's the highest level. Effective leaders, if Mandrell was an effective leader and Mr. Bennett was garbage, they could both tell me to do the same thing and I'll follow Mandrell and I won't listen to Mr. Bennett. That's effective leadership. When given the choice, when people get older, now critical thinking applies, trust, and a lot of things. Some people say, Mandrell's an effective leader. I remember 3 years ago when he told me, don't ever do this. If I'm following him, I'm going to listen. You know what? Let me call Mandrell and ask his opinion. Or, let me do what he was doing. If Mr. Bennett, because I said so, and I don't even know why he said so, and then I got some client, hey, come on, man. Come on, fire up, man. Smoke this crack right quick. You ain't never even had a conversation about it. I might just light one up because now I have the option to do so. And I have no critical thinking skills. I've seen these. I went to a HBCU. The women were out of freaking control. Moved out of state to get out of these dictatorships and ran amok. It's very common.
Hey, hold on, real quick, y'all, before she go to bed. Real quick before she go to bed. Yeah, hold on, real quick before she go to bed. My daughter's in here. She's 19 right now. She's in here listening, right? Because she was getting something out of my man cave. She said, tell Uncle Scam and Uncle Mandrell and everybody on the panel. She said, baby, you can come on, get on the mic. What you shy for and the camera ain't on? That's fine. Just go.
Tell her to get on because you said so.
Right.
I said so. Get on that next. I said so. Try now.
And then you can explain it later, Black man.
Explain it later, right. And this is what she just said. This is what she said. She was listening and she said to tell you guys, like, she said, Daddy, you was like that on me. She said, you were hard on me to teach me different things like that. So she said, I would disagree with Unc them because she called y'all Unc them. She said she agree with Unc them simply because she said, when you get to college, all that teaching that I taught her back in the day, or I told her don't do certain things, and I was like really brash on her, she said worked with her. She said a lot of girls at her college right now have 2-parent homes. Their family have given them freedom, brought them nice little sports cars. She say, Daddy, they mom and daddy like they friends. They come see her on the weekend, hug and kissing her. Soon as mom and daddy leave, she just tossing that thing back, giving it to everybody.
Who said anything about the sports cars and buying them? Who said
no. Her point is that even when you have gentle parenting, these kids will still turn out the way they want because they're given that
Who
freedom.
said anything about gentle parenting?
What you're defining?
Where'd that
Okay,
come from?
so what we need to do is Google the definition of gentle parenting, because everything that you defined a few minutes ago, that's what I was saying about 30 minutes ago. Everything that you defined is what gentle parenting is.
No,
That's a real phrase. That's a real term.
Yeah, that's a real term. Yes.
I didn't say, no, nobody said that you just sit and have
They got
conversations every
books on it,
time.
Nathan.
Nobody said that.
No,
Because I was
I-
agreeing with Trey about having a conversation after sometimes.
Yeah,
But Black Man, Scam is talking about this. Like, for example, I think the perfect example Scam could have used, so I understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
Is and correct me if I'm wrong, Scam. Let me see if I can translate.
Good conversation tonight, brothers.
When Scam is talking about, and I agree with this. Say you have a parent, both parents are pastors, or they're highly like super religious, and they really wear you down with a lot of I guess you would say rules and structures
Thou shalt not.
and you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that because of this, because of that. They don't really bring any context, and then so you become naturally, a lot of those kids become naturally rebellious. And so that's what I kind of feel like Scam is referring to when you don't give a very balanced parenting approach.
Right.
Then your child becomes more rebellious because of that. But what I was saying in reference to the Scam situation is that I think that a lot of this has to do with culture, because you have strict parents and other ethnic groups who are just as strict, and their kids are obedient, and they listen to that. So you can't blame the parents on what children or young adults tend to decide to do on their own when they make those choices.
Yeah, I can respond to that.
Well, go ahead, Scam.
In certain cultures, you're rebellious. Or certain cultures don't have the option to be rebellious.
You sure right about that, brother?
Now, in other cultures that are more Americanized, they have an option to be rebellious. And a lot of them are picking that option.
Facts.
Such as the marriage rate was 80-something%. And that those teachings, we're going to whoop you, beat the black off you, do this, do this, do this, do this. Critical thinking was not taught. The marriage rate dropped into the 20s. Therefore, something failed. And people are still trying to go back and teach some of them same things. And I'm not saying all.
Right.
I'm just talking about the structure. If
Right.
you cannot critically think in this world, the cell phone, the dust and crust and the manosphere are going to eat you alive. They're going to get in their pockets and they're going to get in that booty. Let's be real.
Hold on now, goddammit. Hold on just a second, guys. I want y'all to see this. Look at this, all right? And then I think we need a break right now to get a laugh anyway. So watch this, guys.
It's that you didn't get off your lazy ass and charge.
Here she comes. She coming too now. She waking up. Hey, pumpkin. Yeah, you got a little stupid and you forgot I'm old school. Yeah, we're not going to do that. I had to take care of some business. Get up, girl. Let's go have a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi, and we'll talk about it. But you...
Facts.
Hey, bro.
That's a big miss.
Yeah, I think
It's a huge
it's not
gap.
this one or the other extreme where if you don't say because I said so, then you're some soft parent handing out lollipop. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about balance. I'm talking about when I was in sixth grade.
How would you have handled that?
Huh?
How would you have handled that? Your daughter popping off like that. How would you have handled that?
I missed part of the video because my computer's delayed.
Oh, okay.
But here's my point.
Don't worry.
No more.
No, here's my point.
That wouldn't happen.
I believe in consequences for actions.
What Mr. Bennett say?
Is the video playing?
No.
I got computer issues.
Yeah, the thing is.
No, I'm saying.
Hey, Scam, could I ask you a question, Scam?
What's up?
Nathan asked you. Well, first off, hello everyone. Sorry.
Hey, what's going on, brother? Long time no hear, man.
Yeah, man, not bad. Thanks, Nathan. I think it was Nathan who asked you a question. I believe someone asked you a question.
What was the question?
The question was if your child, it was when Black Man, his mother told him no. So someone asked you, how would you have handled that if your child wanted to go to the mall or something, and you said no? You said it'd be a conversation that was had, but you didn't necessarily give details. So how would you have handled it?
Yeah, the question is rigged from the gate. Let's be real, because he's just saying.
Scam, real quick.
No, not that. But the scenario and the whole thing was rigged. That was the whole thing I was pointing out.
But that actually happened. That actually happened
rigged
to
or
me.
not, rigged or not, as a parent, you are a parent? Yes.
No.
Okay, so as a parent, you will come into scenarios where you have to tell your child to do something that they do or do not want to do. And then, depending on how old they are, you can get to a point where you tell them to do something and they choose not to do it, or vice versa. You tell them not to do it and they choose to do it. So in actuality, when it comes to parenting, it seems to you that it's rigged, but
no, the question is
that can be a very common thing.
Scam, that happens often. Your child wants to go hang out at the mall with their friends. That's not a rigged question. It can happen.
No, the scenario was
I
rigged.
remember my friends how wild they drove. Like if my mom ever saw the way that these guys are driving, she would never let me hang out with them. So his scenario,
you're right, Trey.
it's
Don't
not
let
rigged.
Trey. You're correct. Because it's so rough out there, keep the kids in the house and don't ever even take them to driver's ed.
So not to
be
be sarcastic, but I want to know how you would handle. That's a very real situation. It was actually Black man's real life experience. So if you were put in that scenario as his parent, how would you have handled it? The question.
I need more context. Who is the kid? Since we want to make it real, who is the kid? What are their grades? We'll be here all night. What the grades looking like?
You tell us.
Friends. Where do we live? What time's the mall closed? What's been going on in the area? What's this? What's that? We can be here all night.
No, we don't have to. Black man.
I'm not attacking. I'm just saying if we make a what if to paint a narrative.
I want you to fill in real quickly what your grades were looking like, what time the mall was closing, who you were hanging out, real quick, so we can get his answer.
Okay. I don't know. He had a 2.1 and he was slacking. You ain't going to the mall. He already knows why, because we had this conversation already.
Okay.
He got a 4.6. Hey man, let's roll up to the mall. I'll drive.
So you said a conversation would be had, though.
Conversations are always had.
So the 2.6, you're saying he's not going?
2.1 GPA.
Excuse me, 2.1.
What we talking about the mall for? Let's come here, bro.
But do you see how your parenting style didn't even, depending on the scenario, didn't even allow for a conversation, versus if his grades were better and he was a better student, then you would say, okay, I'll just take you.
Like I said, we'd be here all night. Because now I got to count adding that in. I got to bring up the conversation from 2 years ago.
Which is fair, because it means that you're not.
We'll be here all night.
Which is fair, because it means you're not one-dimensional. But what I'm trying to get you to see is that there are times, you've already acknowledged this, where no conversation is necessary.
I agree. Now here's my thing: no conversation necessary but oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Scam. But earlier, when the gentleman on the left, when he said that if his child were, if he were to tell his child to do something, like they better do it, and he may explain later. You said that was bad.
No, that's not what I said.
Excuse me, bottom of the barrel influence.
No, that's not what I said to that, because he said a conversation would take place later. I'm saying I agree. I can work with that. But if it's just, I talk, you do, dictatorship, no conversation, no teaching of critical thinking, no relationship bonding, none of that, then when she gets to college, Nathan Daly and Mr. Bennett and them in the Kappas and Qs gonna run train.
What was it that you were referring to as bottom of the barrel influence?
Bottom of the barrel influence is because of I'm the parent, my role and my power, and because I'm a big dude swinging this massive belt and extension cords, you gonna listen. That is very ineffective, and it's the bottom of the barrel.
And who said that they would do that?
I had to go to extreme to prove a point.
No. I was asking you for the literal individual. You were when you said that's bottom of the barrel influence, you were talking to someone. You were actually talking to someone.
I talk, you do, and it's stopping right there. I forget. It might have been Trey.
And what was it?
That's
what was it?
That's the bottom.
Do you know why I'm doing that?
Hey, Trey.
Because,
Trey.
hang on, black man. Do you know why I'm
go
doing
ahead.
that? You know why I'm doing that? Because at some point in time, your child is going to come across the boss who is like that. And what you're saying is that you've raised your child to have a conversation. Your child's going to come across the boss who's not going to have a conversation.
Trey.
You're going to tell your child to do it, and if your child does not do it, they're going to fire them. And your child is going to call you. Hang on, your child's going to call you and ask you, it doesn't make sense. They didn't even want to talk to me. They didn't even ask me why.
Trey, you
think hold on, Scam, before you go.
You have to prepare your child for both sides
That's
of it.
one of the conversations you have with the kid.
Hold on. What, before y'all go, real quick, I want to share somebody with y'all. Okay, now y'all need to don't be disrespectful. All right, but I got somebody on the phone here. Say something.
Hello.
Okay, can y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's my mama. Now watch this, Mama.
Yes.
Do you remember when I was a kid, about 14, 15 years old, and I said I wanted to go to the mall with my homeboys? You remember that?
Oh, how could I forget?
Okay. Now, when I asked you, I said, Mama, why you won't let me go to the mall? You said no, right? And then and then I asked you again. I said, why you won't let me go? What did you say?
Because I said so.
And what?
Because I said so. Because you got kids, you got to let them know who's your authority. They think they're grown and everything.
Right.
Because I said so. But the thing of it is, when you wanted to go to the mall and I told you wasn't going, you wanted to get the big head with your little friends. And I know things about their parents or whatever. So I said no, because I said so. You're not going.
Okay, now, Mama. Now, hold on, Mama. I don't want you to long stroke them out. Okay, this is Mama. Hold on, just a minute. So, Mama, what ended up happening to those boys when they went to the mall that day?
Oh, let's see. They went with their uncle. They told me they was going to go with somebody else. All of them went to the mall with their uncle. Wound up stealing. They went over there and stole some stuff. And after they stole it, they wound up going to Green Oaks Detention Center. They went there that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, had to get them out that Monday when they supposed to be going back to school.
Okay, now where are those boys at now? Are they in and out of jail now? As grown men?
They're in and out of jail now.
That's
Let
all
me
I
ask this question. No. Let me ask.
Hold on, Mama. They got a question for you. They got a question for you. Hold on.
Ask your mom. Did she explain it?
Mrs.
Did she explain it to
Unfiltered.
you?
I would love to ask you this question.
Okay, yeah. She can't hear y'all, but I'll relay the question. Go ahead.
Ask her, has she been a no nonsense parent for the entirety of your youth?
Mama.
Because I said so parent.
Have you always been a because I said so parent to us when we was growing up?
Say that again.
Have you always been a no nonsense parent that says because I said so the entire time we were kids?
That's why I got you where you are now. And half of the ones that was with you in jail, out of jail, moms is doing the same thing, drugging and everything else. I had to be a firm mom because I said so. Because if I told you somebody else said so, you wouldn't listen. You listen to someone else before you listen to your mom and your dad. So we had to tell you, because I said so you'll know where it's coming from. You have to put your foot down.
So case closed.
Hey, black man, can you ask her this? Can you ask her? Did she ever explain it to you afterwards? When she said I said so, did she explain why later?
Right. Now, Mama, you long stroking woman. Listen to me, baby. Look, okay, listen. So I got them on here. You on live TV, Mama? Oprah watching. Okay, listen. Listen, Mama. Mama, you be cussing, Mama. Listen. Okay, Mama. Let me ask you this. What was the question? I forgot, Trey. What is it?
Did she ever explain?
Did she ever explain it to you?
Oh yeah.
After she said.
Right. So, Mama, after you would discipline us or tell us, because I said so. Did you always explain to us why?
Yes, I did. I say because you don't know what I've been through and seen and did things. When I tell you something, I always make sure you know why I did that. Because I was telling you, you remember the little lie they told that the pastor's son was saying,
Mama, you can't be telling everybody business.
I don't care. I'm grown. The pastor's child was gonna go to the mall. My mom's gonna take us, and the other one say my mom's gonna take us. And I said, okay, I always pick up behind who's gonna take who.
Hang it up, man.
Okay, mama, I'm gonna hang it. Mama. Them people maybe. Mama, you can't be talking about everybody. I'm talking about our business.
Yo, she started talking about the pastors.
Okay, mama. I'll talk to you later, mama. I love you. Bye.
Black man have brought props up on the screen. all of that just to prove Scam's point.
Hey, black man, I want to tell you something. That was important that you called your mom out.
Mr. Bennett was wrong.
Because I think that we miss out. We think that because I told you so isn't coming from a place of love, right? Because it just has that oomph on it, right? It has that like it just means like, oh, you want to, kids feel like, oh, you're being mean. You don't want to let me do anything. And that's not where it's coming from. Sometimes it's because I have a feeling about something, or like your mom said, she knew them kids and she knew their family. Like, nah, ain't no way. And sometimes,
but she did say that she explained it to him later.
And that is also important. Now, listen, I'm all for the explanation, but that doesn't mean you're gonna get the explanation right then and there.
True.
Right.
But
I
haven't said much on this topic. I know Scam and Nathan and Hubby have been going on this. I think there's certainly for me, it's all about timing. I think when you're younger, like someone explained to me, like when you're a mother or when they're younger, your role is to protect, oftentimes from themselves. But but true fatherhood, and this, we talk about leadership, part of it is about preparation. And so I think when your kids are younger, you might go with a more of because I told you so when they're younger, like, take your finger away from the stove or get your finger away from the side because I said so. But as a kid gets older, and again, you got to know how a kid matures, you have to start giving them something to Scam's point about critical thinking. And so I think there's a time and place. So my method with my 3 daughters, my youngest one turns 20 next month, is, again, it's been the parenting that I do now is very different than when they were 10 or 5 or 8 or 12 or what have you. The older they've gotten, the more I've given. And it has become much more expository, much more explanation. This is how, this is why things were, even going back to things that I might have been harsher with when they were kids. Now comes the explanation. Now they say, okay, now I understand why you did it that way. So I think there's also a timing to this as well. So again, you got because I said so, saying that to an 18-year-old versus a 5-year-old. And you still got parents who are still using what they did at 5 when the kid's at 18, and you haven't filled anything in. So I think for me, it's a timing thing. As they mature, it's like going through levels. If you practice martial arts, there's a first degree, second degree, third degree. Once you start getting into them high degrees, there's very little physical, because you already should know all the physical. You should know how to kick and block and punch and all that. A lot of that stuff becomes expository and philosophical the higher you go up in rank. Once you start getting to those Dans, 8th Dan and all that, you're not doing a whole lot of martial arts, actually breaking boards and doing it. That stuff you did a while back. But now it becomes the why, the philosophy behind why you're doing something is important. So I think just again, being a leader, if you're trying to raise leaders, raise people to a point of critical thinking, your parenting style, I think, has to change as they mature. And if you don't do that, then there's going to come that point, as Scan was saying earlier, well, I've seen it also where you have a lot of these kids, once they turn 18 or whatever, because that's all they've heard, that they go off into the deep end and get into things that they shouldn't be getting into. So I think there's an evolution here. But again, parenting is something that has to evolve just as they evolve. And certainly that's worked in our case with my parents' house. So that's just my perspective. Does that work for everybody? I'm just sharing what worked for us. And so, but that, for me, that's the disconnect I'm seeing here. Black man said it was 15 with those kids. Mom already knew about, the reputation of those kids already. My question is, why was he even allowed to hang out with those kids if she already knew, or if they already had a reputation? Why would he even be hanging out with them? See, if that was in my situation, my girls wouldn't be hanging out with kids like that much earlier. They wouldn't be hanging out with them when they were 12 or 10 or whatever.
Right.
But if y'all all grew up together, I would have been calling that out, and I would have been taking measures to keep you away from that environment early, not at 15. And so when you're 15, I'm going to say, because I told you so at 15, no, that conversation, if these are the same boys in the neighborhood, we would have been having this at 10 or 12, where we said, look, you ain't hanging out with those guys because I said so. Now, when you're 15 and when they went to the mall, I would have said, that's why I didn't want you guys hanging out with those kids when they were 10, because at 15, they're all locked up. And hopefully, you would be like, now I understand what you were saying.
Right. And let me respond to that, because my mama, when she knew about those boys at 10, you're absolutely correct. But me, going back to what somebody else said on the panel earlier, I was hard-headed. Say, I'm going to hang with them because I want to. Shit, you can't tell me nothing when I'm in school. Right? We ride the same school bus together. We play in the same yard together for recess. Shit, I've been knowing these kids since we were 9, 10 years old. So I'm not going to stop talking to them because you say to stop talking to them. I'm just not going to say that to you and be disrespectful to you, but I'm still going to talk to them. And my mama asked me, I said, Mom, I want to go to the mall. She said, who you going with? I said, I'm going with Weasel them. She said, boy, go on in there, sit down. I said, well, you're not going nowhere. I said, why? Because I said so.
But I'm saying, but I would have been saying that at 10, not at 15, is what I'm saying. Like, it wouldn't have got that far. At 15, you're kind of almost, you're kind of set. And this has been going on all this time, and there's been no sort of separation to get you, into another influence. To me, that's a problem.
This is
I agree with Mr. Bennett.
I agree.
Somebody else go ahead.
There does have to be an evolution of parenting. I do agree with that. You can't.
What Mr. Bennett said is everything that I was talking about.
The way you treat a 16-year-old. However, when you have parents who have kids that are all up and down the age spectrum, things get a little confusing at times. And sometimes,
well, that's why I'm not crying out. I just did like that.
I get it, but I'm just saying, if you're like, take for instance, my kids. My kids are 9 years apart, right? So there could be a time where I'm talking to my son who's 13.
You started over.
No. I got started too young. That was the problem.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, I can have a conversation with my son, because he's older. But when you're talking to my daughter, it's, and sometimes the lines can get blurred. Is it fair? No, it's not fair. But they can get blurred. There are times where I look at my son and go, just do what I told you to do. Yeah. And then I do come back at another time and say, hey, look, I told you to do it because of this, blah, 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 blah. And we talk it through. But there's just times and there's just times where I don't even want to deal with that. I have other things going on. You're a parent, you have things going on. I don't have time to explain everything that I'm trying to explain to you right now. Just do it. We'll circle back. We'll come back to it later.
And Mr. Bennett, I would agree with your notion. I was trying to get Scam likely to understand that the statement he made was flawed. And the statement was that this is a bottom of the barrel level of influence to just say, because I said so. And the reason it's flawed is because sometimes it's necessary. And then
sometimes it's necessary.
Okay. Well, if you agree, no, you're fine. If you agree, then there's nothing else to be said. It's just your wording at the time denoted that 100% of the time.
No.
That this. Okay.
No. Let me sum it up. All I'm saying was this: there is an environment of angry mamas, angry daddies that are dictators. They go and lift weights and swing belts all day, and it's because I said so. You do what I say, and they don't teach critical thinking. They don't have a conversation to the point where the kids can't even come to them to have a conversation. They turn 18 and they run absolute wild. If they're not naturally rebellious, where they run wild at a younger age. I'm just saying that doesn't work. I'm saying it's a combination, just like what Mr. Bennett said. That's what I meant by that. Like,
well, Mr. Bennett is sorry, Scam.
Go ahead.
Mr. Bennett is focusing on timing. Me, I would say balance. So
balance is me.
Timing would be like, when they're 5, they don't need much explanation because they're in complete subjection to you anyway. And the older they get, the more their brain starts to comprehend and understand, the more questions they may have. And the more you would need to explain just to address the little questions in the back of their mind burning, which causes them to think they know more than you. And your no is the wrong answer, right? But I'm talking about balance even throughout all of those years. At 5, you can explain, and at 5, you cannot explain. At 6, you can explain, so on, all the way up to 18. And the reason being is because our Creator, when he was governing the Israelites, there are times when he did explain, and there are times when he didn't. So he's the best leader, teacher, educator, parent, so to speak. So his example would be the best example to follow. So
yeah, I'm on board with what you're saying and what Mr. Bennett was saying. I'm just saying it's deeper. That it's not a one-stop shop with because I said so, and that's the thing that's fixing the world because I said that. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Well, always.
So I think we're pretty much on the same page.
Yeah, I think everybody's saying the same thing, just in a different way.
And the thing is, what Mr. Bennett described was pretty much what we were talking about. I mean, like that's why I said earlier, and that's why I stopped talking. I don't understand how this is going over their heads. Because the only thing we were saying is if you say because I said so and leave it there, that's the wrong answer.
And do that daily, and that be your
right. Just leave it there.
That's where
because I said so. That's it. You don't explain anything at any time ever.
That's where it's divided. Because Scam is saying that doing that repetitively is wrong.
Yes,
but sometimes it is not wrong. If you do it, sometimes it's not wrong because sometimes the situation, the scenario does not allow for much explanation.
Right, it's situational.
You know, so
but also the way you talk to a 5-year-old is going to be different than the way you talk to a 14-year-old.
Absolutely.
And if they're not getting it, if they're asking to do something reckless, that's a hint that something's wrong, and a conversation probably needs to be had. If repeatedly, they want to, can I jump off the roof? Can I smoke some? Obviously, some conversation wasn't had, needs to be had. Probably.
You didn't never jumped off the roof?
No.
No.
Oh, you what kind of childhood did you have?
You wasn't no child.
You
jumped off the roof, off the tree, off the top of the truck. What the hell we talking about?
We used to jump off the decks and
what?
The deck, yeah, but not the roof.
The roof,
yeah. We had mattresses, old mattresses. We jumped right off the roof.
Jump right off the roof, land on the old mattress.
We didn't have mattresses. I used to do backflips and front flips off the roof. Nothing underneath me. Nothing. That's my sister.
Nothing
underneath us.
That make a whole lot of sense.
You got the beating of your life, didn't you?
It makes sense
now.
You got the beating of your life.
Oh, they never caught me doing it. They heard about it. Like someone told my sister. But someone told, but they didn't beat me. I mean, it was just, well, they might have. I just don't remember it. You know what I'm saying? I might have been knocked out like the old lady knocked out that girl.
I'll be back.
Yeah, but no, we used to do daredevil stuff. Tackle football in the street, all kind of stupid stuff.
Man, Drea, you played tackle football on the pavement too, boy? That's what I'm telling you, bro. Best days of your life.
In the street, all kind of stupid stuff, man. Yeah,
hey, so before Mandrea, before my boy JT, thank you for being here tonight, man. What's going on with your brother? Before JT goes, I have another video I want y'all to see, and I know Dusto gonna eat this person alive. So let me go ahead and play it for y'all real quick. Here we go.
Quit running your house as if it's a fucking democracy. It is not. Your household is a dictatorship. Well, do what I say, do or fucking else.
But now they have this thing called gentle parenting.
Oh, I believe in gentle parenting.
Do you?
You're living, aren't you?
Surviving is not thriving.
But you are thriving. You survived it. I was very gentle. I was very gentle. I give you passes from time to time. See, you survived that night coming in my house drunk, throwing up on my damn carpet in my bathroom, talking about your cycle was on. Your damn cycle wasn't on. You were drunk.
Well, at that point, I was way too old for gentle parenting. Gentle parenting is like when they're growing up, you don't whoop them.
Oh, hell no. The Bible says, spare the rod, spoil the child. So I believe in whipping that ass. I don't believe in abuse, but I believe in whipping that ass and letting that ass know, reach out and touch somebody's ass.
Wait a minute. It's the same one we were running. The same one we were running last time because her daughter is single and she's taught about not trusting a man and she raised this feminist woman or whatever. So if you're trying to use her as an example of what parenting should be like, I'm out.
No.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
using
got nothing to say either.
I'm not, Mr. Ben, I'm not using her as an example. I'm using she was an old school mama. That's the only old school mama I can find that talked about how she raised her kids old school.
And look what happened. Yeah, and her daughter's like, yeah, why can't I find a husband? Yeah, nice job. Nice job.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, but relationships and discipline don't necessarily go hand in hand. You can discipline as much as you want. That doesn't make the child a good mate. You know, like relationships is a whole nother ball game.
Reach out and touch somebody's ass. Damn.
I think that she's too damn masculine first and foremost. I don't think that she was an effective mom.
She like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on that damn cap.
Yeah, but the way she even the way that she talked, I never myself liked it. Even though I had got disciplined by my parents, there was still some times where I could think that they were still wrong. You know, my whole thing was to go to. People are too quick to go to make whoopings. I don't call them spankings. Whoopings. They make those whoopings to go to. They go too fast with it, and they're not creative enough as parents to be able to discipline their kids another way. You got people that was 18 years old and their parents are still trying to whoop them. You know, I think when you have this so-called discipline, what they call discipline, I think it's not effective. I think the most that you teach a child is how to be violent. I think when they're about 3 years old, 4 spankings or whatever, but man, there's so many other consequences that you can give kids other than to put your hands on them.
That's still discipline.
I don't think. No, but I'm saying, but you teach them violence when you put your hands on them.
I know, but your words were there's something wrong with discipline, but you agree.
No.
I
said so that as the go-to for discipline. I'm saying that there are way more other ways to discipline your child than the first thing that you do is put your hands on them. You could take their time. Especially if you afford them certain liberties that they have, you could take the liberties to them. And sometimes you do have to walk them down the path of logic. You know, it's a lot more than just whooping on your kids. I think it's too many black folks that has used that whole thing of spare the rod, spoil the child. That doesn't even mean that with what they're saying. The child could have been your lambs when you was in those days that they're talking about. It could have been your cattle that you had, and the rod could have been a staff, right? It could have been where how they walked on the side of hills and mountains. And what they did was they took the rod. That's what the cloak, that curve on the cloak was
to bring them up.
Yeah, it had a hook to bring them there. That's the rod that they also was talking about too. It just depends on what time of the when it was that we were talking about. But that didn't mean anything about
spiritual. JT, again, that's why you have in that 51st Psalm says, "Thy rod and their staff they comfort me." So again, it's not necessarily always about just
whooping and beating.
It's to keep you on the straight and narrow, to keep you on the path.
So how do we explain the children that grow up that were not whooped or spanked that are still violent?
It's still the same thing, because if you don't have a balance in your disciplining, it still can go wrong. That's the thing. You have to find the balance in it.
Right. But your statement was that all you're doing is teaching your child violence.
When you're putting your hands on it, if that's your go-to.
I got you. But what about the children that never received that, and they're still turned out to be violent and are in and out of prison, right? Have hurt people, stole, robbed.
Because there wasn't a balance. That's what I was saying. It's because it wasn't a balance in discipline. It still goes to a point where there are other things that you can use as discipline. Then the go-to is to put your hands on them.
Now, JT, hold on 1 second. 1 second, JT, because like Scam just said, what ifs? There are a lot of murderers in jail right now. But there ain't no what ifs, because Trayden arrested a whole bunch of them, so he lived a life. So we ain't gonna do no what if-isms. This man lived the life. He's arrested some murderers, I guarantee you. And I guarantee you, some of those murderers didn't grow up in homes where they got their ass beat.
Yep.
You're right. Everybody hide in the basement.
But they still didn't learn. But
now you
thing is-
took it to an extreme.
No, but my
Now
thing
you
is
took it
this.
to an extreme.
JT, I'll just say this. I went into a lot of homes because we got calls from parents who couldn't parent their children because they didn't want to spank them and they didn't know what else to do. And so they would call us to come in there. Now I got to play daddy to somebody else's child. And when I would tell them, spank your kid, they would look at me like I was crazy. Like, what do you mean? Like, listen, if that's what you want to do, there's a difference. And like the lady said, I don't agree with a lot of what she said, but there is a difference between abuse and discipline. And the laws still allow, in a lot of states, the laws allow for discipline. They don't allow for abuse. You have to be able to explain why you did what you did. I've been in a bunch of houses where the kid called 911 and said, my mama beat me. And I said, okay, well, explain it to me. And once they explained it, okay, well, you were supposed to be home at 9 o'clock. You showed up at 10:30. That's discipline. That ain't no abuse.
But what I'm saying,
Trey, don't you see a problem?
But
No, I don't see a problem. I don't see a problem.
But don't you
Here's what I see. I see every child is different. Like for me growing up, I needed to be spanked. If you didn't spank me, I would have ran all over you. However, my younger sister was the opposite of me. All you had to do was just talk to her, and she would break down crying. I'm sorry. Just tell her you disappointed her. She'd break down crying. She'll never do it again. Right? Every child is different. And I agree with JT when he says that parents need to be more creative. I completely agree with that because that's the missing link. The missing link is what makes your child tick? That's what I had to figure out. What makes my child tick? What makes my son tick? Well, video games, right? Playing video. Okay, I got you. I got you now. Every time you don't do what you're supposed to be doing, I know exactly how to get you back in line without having to spank you. But are there times where I've had to tear my son up? Yes, I have, because he went way over what he should have, and I have to bring him back and let him know
Trey,
that there are
that's
consequences and repercussions for your actions.
No, Trey, I agree exactly with what you just said. That's actually that's actually where me, Mr. Bennett, and a lot of us are trying to critical thinking and problem solving, as well as some conversations, whatever, but not just being a robot and just grabbing the belt and start firing on somebody.
I've seen some parents just pop their child in the mouth because they had got a answer, got their homework, the answer on the homework wrong. I done seen them pop them upside the head, pop them in the mouth. I done seen parents smack their child because their child was asking them a question and they felt that it was disrespectful to ask them a question. It's like the go-to is to put your hands on them is all I'm saying. My whole thing is I don't think that there's enough parents that actually knows how to even balance, their kids, raising their kids with discipline. So I agree with what you were saying, Trey, when it comes down to it. There's a whole bunch of people that's in prison and they never got a whooping or something like that. But it still goes down to the point where there was just no balance.
But regardless,
think about this military.
I think that's mental illness, though. Because even the combat
speaking.
Yeah, it was JT. Yeah.
JT, there's a lot of conflating going on, right? Because here's what I mean. There's balanced discipline, and then even still, when you're administering balanced discipline, and you do spankings, the spankings can still be wrong. How so? Because you can spank out of anger. So the focus is not actually discipline. It's because I'm angry. I'm spanking you angrily. Versus even if I'm spanking you, you're going to count out your lashes 1, 2, 3, 4 till we get to 5, because that's the consequence for what you did. And then now I sit down and talk to you afterwards. This is what you did. So sometimes even when you do whoop in a balanced manner, even though whooping's not your go-to, even if you whooped in a balanced manner, it can still be the wrong type of discipline. It can be the wrong type of whooping administered. So the problem is,
that's fair.
We're assuming that because we've seen people administer whoopings in the wrong spirit, in the wrong manner, that too much of that whoopings in itself is the worst form of discipline. And it could just be because we've seen the wrong version of whoopings. Anything done too much, even a good thing, can turn out to be a bad thing. You drink too much water, even though water is good for us. You know, you can die for drinking too much water. So of course it's understood that too much of one form of discipline is bad. But the reverse also applies. Too much talking to your child can teach them that you're not going to do anything.
That's true.
Yeah, no one said no consequences.
Yeah,
Listen. I never said that. No one said that. I'm making the point on both ends so that we understand we can't hate spanking because we've seen someone do it the wrong way, but likewise we can't glorify verbal discipline because we've seen people do it the right way, because it can also be done to an extreme on that end also, and cause kids, you know, Caucasian you know, if we're just being real here, to have kids who are school shooters, killing animals, bullies, because they receive no discipline.
Actually, those receive more. Those are the ones who got beat up.
Yeah,
those are the ones who got the shit beat out of them.
Big brother, Mandrill and Scam. I'm going to send you guys. Y'all got. I know y'all got all the streaming services, so I ain't got to worry about that. I'm going to send you guys a link to watch the Columbine boys. And I thought they were just kids that stayed in trailer houses. These kids that come from prominent families.
We know.
One of them had a full ride. One of them had a full ride to college. One of them was headed to the military. And I'm like, what made these dumb niggas? Then they come and show the parents buying them guns and giving them credit cards to buy different shit. I'm like, what?
Black
and these
man,
boys
we know
in the
this.
school, they thought the whole school was a video game.
Black man, we know this. Why did you hold on? Why did you assume just because they were white that this?
No. What I'm saying was, when I watched the I'm telling you what I learned from the documentary, watching that day before yesterday. I did not know that they had all this stuff going for them. I thought these motherfuckers was just crazy motherfuckers that came up, be like, you know, just trailer house trash ass dudes. But these motherfuckers came from some great families.
Most of them do.
There's a lot. No, what I'm saying is it's not. People are forms of robots, but they're still not robots.
Right. Okay.
But in parenting and teaching and whatever, just with people in general, emotional intelligence, conversation, and critical thinking, you find out who the people are. And then you try to administer the best form of leadership, conversation, and solution. Now, I'll throw this out here about ass whoopings and whatever. Here's the deal. I got nephews. I don't have kids. I'm not one for blatant disrespect. The consequence for reckless disrespect in the street is what? You can get your head taken off. You can get punched in your shit.
Yep.
Or you're going to get locked up.
Yep.
So I would probably teach that consequence. If you a couple of them tried me. I didn't have to bop the melon. I just put the hands on them. Hey, you really want to go there? Do you want to find out where we're willing to go? And they knew. But if so, then we can go in the backyard, and it will be what it is.
Exactly, bro. I'm ready.
Well, hold on. Here's the thing. I don't have to do. That's not something that I would have to do once per week, per month, for that be the thing to be done. That's a couple of times. I will go there if I have to. I will tackle you in the middle of the street.
Hey guys, can I ask
a question? That I will go there, and that's the consequence that happens in the real life, and that will be the conversation with it. I'm saying the better leaders don't have to work. Oh, go ahead, JT.
No, go finish that. Finish that. What you were saying.
Oh, I'm saying what I find is the most and the more effective leaders spend less time administering consequences. The ones who live in the consequence department, something is low with their leadership because they had to spend time administering consequence. Means people aren't listening what it is that they're trying to say.
Do you consider discipline also a consequence?
I can't hear.
Consequence is a form of discipline.
I mean, the disciplines is embedded in. That's what consequence is. Yeah. It's embedded in that. It's supposed to. It's just like if you go to a third world country, and some of these countries, if you steal something, they cut your fingers off. And based off of how many fingers, if your whole hand was taken off, how severe they felt it was. That is a consequence.
Right. The
And
environment is
they do it, and they do it in front of other people, so they can understand that
And that go for
if you
kids
do
too.
this is what's going to happen to you. So I think
The
it's all
consequence is not the same as discipline, though.
I'm saying it's embedded in it. I didn't say they were the same. I said it's just embedded because, or it.
Yeah, I said consequence is a form of discipline.
Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that that's clear. That's clear.
But I do have a question,
right?
Right. I believe in corrective action and redirecting the behavior.
So somebody echo.
Might be information.
During these times that we have right now, okay, and this is who do you guys think is the number one discipliner now in the household?
Discipliner?
Nobody. Yeah.
The one that has the autonomy to administer discipline to their children.
Oh, that's mama for sure.
So one of the things I have a problem with is at a certain age, mothers hitting their kids, whether it's a girl or a boy. At a certain age, when she's disciplining them, I believe that it can lead to emasculating the boy, and I believe that it can also harden the girl.
Yeah, hey JT, in those situations, with the absent father, you already got 4 or 5 other problems.
Well, there's an absent father.
There's so many other problems to go along with it also.
But what I'm saying is that when we're saying, so this is one of the reasons why I have a problem with parents putting their hands on kids in this day and age now, because somebody did mention it. It's out of frustration. It's out of anger.
Yeah, I mentioned that last week.
Yeah. So it's at a point right now that we have to be a little more, as parents, a little more creative when it comes down to this. And somebody just said it again. The wheelhouse, if your whole house is based off of consequences, how much are you really teaching your child? Logic is if you can walk them down that path of logic. I'm telling you, when they do ask you, a lot of kids, they won't be asking why when you tell them no. They'll understand why, because you've walked them down that path. Now, of course, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, it's something that's a little bit different with them. But I know some kids that's that age, man, that they can actually have logic because their parents, it's something that their parents do when it comes down to how they're raising their children. Yeah. They're not just raising them to be fearful.
So JT,
I would feel different, JT, if I wasn't around these kids. I told you one of my 12-year-old football players stole on me. I mean,
but who is the number one? Who is the number one parent? Who is the number one parent that's raising these children? I get it, but if your go-to is to whoop your child, if that's your number one go-to, they get out of line, you whooping that ass.
Yeah, JT,
they say something, you whooping that ass. It's like everything come with a whooping that ass consequence, and you know there can't be a balance to that. It's more than just I'm gonna talk to them or I'm gonna whoop their ass. It's a lot more that you can do with that.
So JT, you're correct, right? I think everyone agrees with you that one form of discipline is going to fail, because that's understood. Yeah. I think the problem is people are misinterpreting consequence to be a form of discipline.
I got you.
It's not. They're two different words. Consequence just means, this is the definition, a result or effect of an action or condition. So the result or effect can be good. A lot of times people don't use this word correctly. They just assume that there's a negative connotation. So when they say consequence, you're going to get a consequence, but the consequence can also be good, because it's just the result or effect of an action or condition. So the result can be a good one. But what is the definition of the word discipline? Is it a result or effect or a condition? It is the practice of training people to obey rules or code of behavior using punishment to correct disobedience. It is not the same thing, because it doesn't say whoopings. So the punishment can also be timeout. It can be loss of privilege. You can't go out this weekend. You lose your video games. Sometimes it can just be a conversation. Let's sit and talk real quick. And I'm going to train you with this form of verbal correction.
Yep.
So the problem is people are not using these by not understanding the difference. They're using these words and saying, yeah, I discipline my children. Yeah, this discipline is a form of consequence. It's just wrong. It's just wrong.
Right.
Yeah, we haven't talked about positive reinforcement at all.
Well, I was gonna ask the question: Can reward be part of discipline?
It can be.
I'm asking. Go
ahead. Then I had a question for Black Man.
Before we do that, guys, we have a super
chat.
Yeah, let me get the super chat out the way real quick, and then we get back to the conversation. Let's get a little break real quick here. Let's see what we got. We got take heed to the message with a $5 super sticker. Thank you so much for that. We also have Creation Muse with a $9.99 super sticker as well. And thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and play y'all a little something. We're gonna take a little break, take a little deep breath. Everybody get them something to drink, and we'll be right back after this, guys. Hey, listen, now this is a musical. I hope you guys enjoy this musical from the movie Life. Here we go.
Don't really want to fuck with us. Press the wrong button, make it pop. Hey, girl, you gonna eat your cornbread? Oh, trouble. Don't say that to him. You talking to me? Yeah, I think he's talking to you. No, not at all. I want you to have it. And Willie, you mind passing this down to him? Hey, Willie, don't you pass your cornbread down to him. It's your cornbread. Cornbread. Okay, I'm not gonna eat this cornbread. He wants the cornbread. Damn it, have a cornbread. No, he wants some cornbread. Let him walk to the front and get his own portion of cornbread. It's your cornbread. Fuck him. Hey, man, he's gonna eat his own cornbread. Fuck you. Look, I don't need you to take off of me. I'm all right. I'm a grown man. I can handle that. Let him have your cornbread. You're gonna be ironing his drawers and clipping his toenails. You gotta eat your cornbread. Oh, motherfucker, you can't have my cornbread for damn sure. And if you try to take my cornbread, part 2 of my killing spree gonna begin up in here on your ass right now. If you're thinking about my cornbread, better get the taste out your mouth for damn sure. No, fuck him. Fuck that, because I'm from New York City, goddammit. Nobody take no cornbread from me. That go for you and any other motherfucking farmers who want to try some shit. You fuck around with me, it's gonna be consequences and repercussions. Damn.
Oh my God, bro. That's just stupid. Okay, guys, we back. Hey, listen, guys. So what were you about to say? I think who was about to go? I think it was JT. Oh, no. It was who was about to ask a question? Because somebody said they had a question for me.
I think it was Scam Likely.
Oh, okay. He got up to change his opinion. He'll be right back.
I would like on this issue.
Oh, there you
go. I'll be right back. Forgot something.
All right, go ahead, information man. Rock out. What's going on, brother?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
We got you. You got a little echo,
can hear me?
a little reverb going. Yeah, you got a little reverb going a little bit.
I gotta figure this out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta figure it out. I agree with JT. Most of us look at discipline with spanking our kids. We got that from our parents. We got that from what we call old school. And we got to admit that some of the things that they did to us, there were times when we deserved discipline, and there were times when our parents went overboard. If you do anything in anger, that anger can be destructive.
Yep.
You're not disciplining a child within your right mind of logic. You're disciplining your child out of emotions. On YouTube, on these platforms, everybody keeps talking about emotions. And this concept called emotional maturity. When your emotions get the best of you, you don't think about what you are doing. So when our parents spanked us with electric cords and all these things, by today's standards, they would be arrested. And we have to understand where this comes from. This is an area that Black people in general don't want to deal with. A lot of this ideology that we get about discipline comes right off the slave plantation. When you got out of line, the slave master did what? He whipped you, beat you, told you not to do this again, not to do that. Black people have been traumatized. We're the most traumatized people in this world. And what happens when you're traumatized, this is from a psychological point of view, gentlemen, when you are traumatized and you are abused in any kind of way, even though our parents thought they were doing the best they could, what happens to people that have been abused and traumatized? They end up projecting the same behavior onto someone else. So a lot of us, when we spank our kids in this very harsh manner, we'll say, oh, that's how my parents taught me. That's what my parents did to me. So now all you're doing is you're now passing down a generational curse that comes right off the slave plantation. Now, why is it that nobody on this panel or nobody has said that, what about Black men who are in organizations that are working with young Black men who are out there in those streets? I have done that. And Black men who are working with youth out there that you would say are going to the penitentiary, we're not beating them. We're not putting an extension cord on them. We're actually providing something that they never had. One, there's a word called love, L-O-V-E. They never had anybody who gave a damn about them. So, and then the goal is to build one up by showing them examples. So I think one of the brothers on here said something that's very important. When your child gets out of line and you show them, you explain to them the consequences of their action. I always thought that it was smart to let your kids see the consequences of bad actions by what someone else did. Whatever happened to letting your kids see the example? Son, daughter, this is what happened to such and such. This is what could happen to you. Now, there are cases where you may discipline your kids physically, but that shouldn't always be the main alternative, because by projecting that kind of trauma onto your child, that carries with them into adulthood. I think Les Brown said something. He said that negative has 10 or 20 times more impact on you than a positive. All of you on this panel can remember the negative things that happened to you in life. I bet you remember a negative experience you had with a teacher in school. That has more of an impact on you psychologically and emotionally than all the positive things that happen to you, because you remember it. It was painful. It's an emotional scar on you. So this whole notion that our children have to be disciplined in this way for them to make it in this world is a slave ideology. What about young Black males out there who are making it and doing the right thing because they had Black men that showed them love, showed them direction by example, and also showed them exactly what can happen if they go in the wrong areas? Most of these kids, when Black Men Unfiltered, you're talking about you coach football and you're dealing with kids that are unruly. Ask yourself, and you know this, everybody knows this, why are those young men unruly? Because they did not have anyone in the household to show them psychological discipline, emotional love. They're out of control because there's no structure in their life. Men do what? We provide structure. That's why a lot of young men, when they play football and various sports, it can gain them some leadership skills. They can learn a lot from that. There are things that we can do. We got my man, Brother Q Butter, who has a great educational institution in Brooklyn, New York. He's working with kids that are from the streets of Brooklyn, and he's in there, got them doing STEM. He ain't in there pulling out switch cords. He's providing a different alternative to this slave ideology that y'all are talking about tonight. Now, of course, there are kids out there who are just no good. You're not going to be able to get to them. At some point in time, people have to suffer the consequences of their choices, like going to jail. Now, I deal with men in the prison system from a psychological point of view, and what they all have in common. I've dealt with thousands, hundreds of guys over my 25 years. What they all have in common is that they've told me that they did not have a proper male figure like a father or someone in their life. The gang became their family, the gang became their father and mother, and then they also regret not listening to that one father figure or someone in their life who wanted them to turn the corner. They regret it. We're talking about men that are doing life sentences, young men that are doing life sentences, and they're now regretting the actions of their behavior. Also, let's remember, when we're talking about kids, their brains are not fully developed. You know, I think everybody before they have kids should take a child development class to understand how a child's mind works through different cycles and why they get into mischief. That's why their brains don't fully develop until after 25. So we got to keep that in mind. With a mind of a young man or young lady that's still developing. So that brain needs nurturing. That brain doesn't need trauma put upon it. And I rest on that.
Yeah. I'd like to know. Okay, we talked about child rearing. All right, that's cool. But back to the leadership part. JT, I think we heard you. I don't think I've ever heard information man's definition. Okay, because what does leadership look like to you? That's the question that was posed to me.
I don't think we heard JT's. I think JT came in on the parenting side.
Well, I said it because he's answered the question before.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I said that.
Gotcha,
I've heard him. He's answered the question before. I'll ask him again. But that's why I put information.
That's fine. That's fine.
I would say that it's accountability, leading by example, holding your subordinates, so anyone that's up under your leadership, to accountability, honesty, integrity, for the most part, that's basically what I have right there.
Okay, information man. What does the leadership look like to you?
It's short. I think leadership is about attitude. Attitude reflects leadership, and leadership reflects how people see you. I think leadership is about leading by example, principles, character, okay, that you live by. And most importantly, it's not about a lot of talk. It's just going out there and getting shit done. That people can see your example by your actions and not by your words. Principles and character are very much important components to this, because without that, no one will respect you. You get to see right through your fakeness. I'll leave it there.
Okay.
Oh, and can I add plan and execution?
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Now I'm going to start with JT. I'm going to skip me, go to Scam Likely, the information man, the Mr. Bennett, and so on. Why is it that when, say, for example, there was people see leadership like that?
I don't think Black David answered.
Okay, Black David, what does leadership look like to you?
Leadership. For that, good evening to my brothers on the panel. To me, leadership is a sense of serving people. Because if you're not a great server, you can't be a great leader. I've been a leader several times in past jobs, past places, as well in church. I also lead in my household. Part that you say you have to understand people's emotions, you kind of like hit the nail behind that, because being a father and a grandfather, I had to understand my child emotional behavior, how they think, but I had to look for a way to make them check themselves. It was something unique out of it to do, because sometimes make them ask themselves the same question: if I'm doing the right thing, if I'm doing the wrong thing. Sometimes I let them think about their action and why they're getting the punishment. And I actually, you think I'm wrong for doing it, or your honest opinion? Don't kiss ass. That's something I teach my son, my daughter. I don't want you to kiss my ass. I want you to be honest with me. So I can understand your emotion. I can understand your feeling, why you think that way, why you feel that way. I do the same thing with my granddaughter. This is what makes me proud to be a grandfather, because the impact I have on her is still growing stronger and stronger. Every time she sees me, I get the longest hug that lasts for almost 5 minutes. I can show that I have some kind of impact in my life, how she thinks and how she responds.
Okay, so your definition would be the way you impact
Great.
people. And
A great leader is a great server.
okay, great servant. Gotcha. Now, start with JT. Why is it that today, when people see leadership, they don't recognize it unless it's hostile and aggressive?
Oh man, I think because they don't understand what leadership actually is. I think they just don't know what it is. You have a bunch of followers trying to be leaders. You have a bunch of followers that's trying to emulate what they think a leader is. So, and one of the things I've known a leader to be is a firm and fair person. Again, it goes to that whole concept of holding someone accountable. Most of these folks knows nothing about holding someone accountable. They think holding somebody accountable is just blaming them. And so so many people can't see what that look like, because I guess I could say that they haven't had good examples of what a real leader is. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Scam Blakely.
Can you repeat the question? Just want to make sure I answer it right.
Why is it that in today's world, the Western world of today, why does it seem like people don't recognize leadership unless it's presented in an aggressive or hostile way?
I don't think they even recognize that as leadership. I think they don't recognize leadership because they don't understand it, and they truly don't. A lot of times they don't buy into it because they don't understand it. They don't believe this is going to get me to the actual direction that I need to be going. They might think that that's not where they're supposed to be going, or they're not supposed to be dealing with this person to get there. They may think aggressive John is going to get them to the destination they're supposed to go. A lot of them are lied to, manipulated, and somehow that narrative got into their brain and this is what they're supposed to do. A lot of people have been compromised, infiltrated, sabotaged, and honestly, people didn't beat the hell out of them growing up, however. So all this compromises the critical thinking needed for them to actually go make the right decisions. Man,
All
Joe,
right, information man.
Oh, you're good.
Why is it information man? Who, me?
Information man is muted.
Oh, he's muted. Yeah. Information man, you muted.
What is the question, brother?
Why is it that in today's world, people don't seem to recognize leadership or acknowledge it unless it's presented in a hostile or aggressive way? Unless it's presented in a hostile or aggressive way.
Well, I think we've been culturally conditioned. Think about it. Our movies, every time we see leadership, you look at your military movies. I know you're military, Mandrell. You got someone yelling, screaming. What was that movie? A Soldier Story. And in A Soldier Story, you had the same scenario where you had the sergeant yelling at the brother.
That's an officer and a gentleman.
Someone that has to be yelling and screaming, what have you, because that's what we see in the movies, television, and maybe that's what we see in our communities. We all grew up watching Lean on Me, right?
And the brother who took over the school there, Joe Clark, he kind of, I'm going to get up in your real mentality. I don't think that's the form of leadership. I think you can, once again, I think you can lead by your actions and by certain principles. I don't think and some kids, I got to be fair here, some people need a little bit of motivational type of energy being put at. Some people respond to that different. So you have to also understand what people respond to as a leader. There's not just one style out in there.
Right. Mr. Bennett, same question. Unless you're talking to them crazy, they don't seem to get it. Like nothing gets through. We watch this. This comes up because Dusto and I don't watch them anymore, but Dusto still watches some Dust panels. But when I was watching them, it just seems like if you're talking to them like we're talking now, it just doesn't get through. They don't. You talk. Their eyes glaze over. You
Right.
miss when you're talking to air.
Right.
Why is this?
Well, I think I sort of concur with the information man, but I think the answer is in your question. Your question saying why is it that they only see leadership in the way that it's being presented to them. And so, we talked about earlier the show that leadership is oftentimes how you run your household, like you lead in your household. A lot of people don't even recognize that they're already leaders because we don't put the emphasis there, but we put it in our images. Again, we've seen in the movies that we talk about Patton, for example, or how many times, if you're a football fan, Vince Lombardi is like, he's still, even though Belichick has more rings or whatever, but Lombardi is like the symbol of what it means to be this leader of a person. So we have projected on us what this person's supposed to be like. And then those who are at the tops of these corporations or whatnot, how they do things. If that's all you're shown, then you're going to model after that. I said, what do I need to get to the top? Well, I have to act like this person. And a lot of times we don't acknowledge that servant leadership style that all of us in our gut feel is an effective way of leading people. But the society doesn't raise that up. And especially for people who are of faith, we look at Jesus as a servant leader type of person. But again, that aspect of him is, even today, that he's kind of portrayed as being like a weak person in the way he's presented. So I think it's what the society has projected, especially in Western. Again, I can't speak for other cultures. I know there's other countries do things differently, but again, this Western culture, this rugged individualism, or this John Wayne type of take charge type of person, that's sort of built into almost like the DNA of the country. So when you see this, reflected everywhere, unless, and I know through like different DE&I initiatives and whatnot, through a lot of corporate settings, they're trying to change the perception of what that means. But then again, you have in other countries, like, places like Florida, they're trying to get rid of DE&I and being sensitive and understanding people and all that stuff. They're trying to just get rid of all that. Let's go back to, what it means to be a rugged, American or what have you. So I think that this we're still wrestling with, especially over the last 50 years, we're wrestling with this idea of what leadership can really be like, leading through influence and persuasion versus dominance or manipulation. And, so I think that's still an evolving target for us that we're still trying to flesh out. And you can see the clashes that, even in the conversation we had tonight.
Okay. Black David, please, never mind. Why is it that people don't seem to recognize leadership unless you're talking to them crazy?
Good question. From past experience, I think people don't want to recognize leadership because they feel like they're entitled to get what they want or act the way they want to act. From past corporate experience, I've seen that where people get too entitled. They feel like they deserve X, Y, and Z without putting in the work. But if you decide to put your foot down, all of a sudden you're the misogynist, or you're racist, or you're this, without no point, no receipt, not no evidence toward it. But they feel like you can't tell them anything. I see that in the church. So I'm the same with black men. There were people who live close, 10 minutes, 5 minutes away, and they'd be late as hell. And I live in another borough. I come in an hour and a half earlier than everybody else. But when you come to tell them you need to be here on time, they're going to throw that fit like, who are you to tell me? But last I checked, they made me leader of both of you guys. So what's the problem? You have a problem with my leadership? You think I can do a better job? And one in particular who think he do a better job is the worst leader ever I've seen in my goddamn life. But you think anyone can be a leader? Nah. You can't be a follower, you can never be a leader. That's the problem. People taking leader as them being a boss. That's what I'm seeing. You can be an asshole when you're a boss. Leader take great strength and humbleness. And no, I do not have to take it to the Wigwam Leadership Conference. I saw you were caught directing the other night, so don't blame it on me.
Okay, cool. However your wives is husband. However your wives is husband. You still there, brother?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Now, why is it that when it comes to leadership in the modern day, unless you're screaming and yelling at someone, being a drill sergeant, that's the only way people seem to recognize leadership or strong leadership. Why is it? Why is this?
I don't know if I would say that's the case. I don't know if I would say that's the only form of leadership that people recognize. I think
No, like I said, it seems that way.
I wouldn't
It's actually a thing, man.
It depends on like what exactly what area you're referring to. Like if you're saying like in the military, because I guess the answer to that question would be because that is the culture of leadership in the military, right? But if you're talking about like just across the board, well then I don't necessarily know if that's the case, if people even seem to recognize that form of leadership over another, because there's just so many different versions of personalities, and some people might respond to good leadership, but then look what
You cut out.
Is that his audio?
I think so. You can't hear him either? Well, yeah, that's him.
Hey, Brandon? Yeah, I can't hear him either at all.
Okay. All right. So JT, the title says, "This is what it looks like." You want me to lead? This is what it looks like. How do you handle something? Tell the younger generation, younger guys out there, how do you handle a situation when he wants to lead, but then no one's following, or the people who are supposed to be following don't follow? What does he do then?
Well, he has to understand that a leader is pretty much elected. People are going to follow you if they find what you're doing is, worthwhile. If it's important to them. Leaders are not. When we're talking about that type of a leader, people will just follow you. It's kind of like people that are true leaders. They don't self-proclaim themselves as being a leader. The people do. The people that follow them do. That's what makes them a leader. So, first you got to have the credentials to be a true leader. So if you're looking for someone to follow you, then you're not looking to be a true leader. You go out here and you do what you're supposed to be doing in life, you're going to have people to follow you. If you have a movement, think about what Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, they were just into who they were. They were philosophers. They were, people that thought that people were being treated wrong, and they spoke out. And the people that saw them speak out wanted to follow what they were doing. And that's what started making them a leader. They wasn't going around and they was petitioning people to come and follow them. They were just leading the way, and everybody started following. So I think that that type of a leader, they're elected. It's the same thing of being a father. You're only a father because you have children. That's what makes you a father. Now, what comes behind that, when you start talking about leading your family and things like that, are the principles that you have in you. So once you start just living life right having the courage to speak out against the things that are wrong, you will start having people to actually and doing it logically. You will have people to start following you. I don't think that that you can just go out there and say I'm gonna be a leader and that's and I'm gonna need some followers and that's how it works. I just don't think. I think it's an organic thing.
Okay, cool. Scam Blakely.
Other than some of the basics, I asked Tommy B a question the other day, and I was like, I don't understand the full mindset of a follower. Like people who just follow anything, they're just followers by nature. Not talking about people who are following in the forms of leadership. This is leadership, and this is what I'm going to follow. Or I'm following so I can be a better leader, but just followers in general. What he said was, if 90% of the people are followers of anything, then when you appear as a leader, expect pushback because you're the outlier. They're expecting you to be the follower just like they are. So you're the outcast. And it's something you have to understand first. And kind of got to meet people where they are before you can lead them to the destination that you're trying to get them to. Just something I wanted to add. We're just throwing there.
That's a good point too. That's a good point.
That really right.
You really are the outlier. You're right. Information man. What is a young fella out there to do when he's in a position of leadership, either at work or at home, and the people he's supposed to be leading won't follow? What's he to do? How does he handle that situation?
Well, to be an effective leader, you have to understand what people want, what they're looking for, what their issues are, what are their concerns. Just like when you're at work and someone wants you to be like wants you to join be like a spokesperson for the union or have to know what your audience wants. I think sometimes your leadership can be ineffective because just because you've been appointed a leader doesn't mean that you're a leader if you don't know what people concerns are. So I think first it's about finding out what people need, what their needs are, what their concerns are, what their complaints are, and see how you can fill that void.
So in other words, information man, understanding their emotions.
Right. I think, and if you look at most, for example, Malcolm X, now I'll make it short here. Why was Malcolm X so effective? Because he tapped into an area in which Black people needed someone to say something that had not been said before in the way that he said it. And he was also respected because he came from those streets, so he could speak in such a way that the people could relate to what he was saying because he was from those communities. So he understood his audience. I'll stop there.
All right. Mr. Bennett?
Yeah, this is a tough question because again, information man always tees it up. So I don't
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. But I think it's difficult because you don't know how the person got there. If you're a young person, if you were appointed, appointment doesn't mean relationship. It doesn't mean that you've been proven, especially when you are younger and you're head over other people. We talked about this on another panel with the generation gap. How you have a lot of younger people in leadership over older ones, and the older ones are kind of pushing back because it used to be that leadership was oftentimes based on seniority, and so the older, the younger followed the younger followed the older. But now that whole thing is getting flipped, and so now you have a situation where it's like, well, what does this young person have? But again, there's been no trust. There's been not necessarily a track record. But here's a guy who could be my kid, and he or she's telling me what to do. So in those situations, the only thing you can do, I think, is to continue to try to earn the respect of those you are leading by your example, by your results. But if people are not going to listen to you, then it may become a situation where you may have to, if you're in position to replace those who, if they're going to be stubborn, it may be the wrong people. That's why a lot of times when you have changes, at least in corporate level, changes in corporate leadership, that's why there's a house cleaning a lot of times. To get rid of that old guard or old thinking or whatever, so you don't have to go through those transitions. I've gone through several transitions in my career, and it's always been, it's like the lions, when the lions take over the pride, they kill all the young ones and whatnot, and they just breed over. They just start over. Like, this is going to be formed in my image, rather than trying to win over somebody whose mind is always fixed on a cultural way of thinking that says, look, we just clean the slate. I've seen it with churches. I've seen it with, new pastor comes in, get rid of the board and everything, bring his people from where he was, and stacks the deck with their people. So that's a tough thing to be in, a situation especially for a younger person to be in. The only thing you can do is just, again, keep your head down and do your work, but you may not get the result that you want. And sometimes young people get burnt out. And again, especially now in this competitive marketplace where you do have a lot of older people, again, from that panel that we were on, older people, because we're in shape and taking better care of ourselves and staying sharp, we're staying in the game a lot longer. It's like guys my age and information man's age, we're thinking about retirement and jumping off. I'm going to, retire to Florida, get my boat here. Young guy, you're 30, 35 here, you take over. Now we're competing in the same spot, going after the same bread. So we're in this very competitive space that's causing this friction. But I'm 53. I'm like, I got a couple more years in. I'm going to take the early retirement, and here, you take it and run with it. I'm out. But that's not happening now. So I think this is, you can do your best, but again, sometimes either you start over or you go to a place where you're not known and let people take, build your own organization, but to take it over, especially if there's people there who thought that they were more qualified than you. That's a tough crowd to win over, unless you're going to have a very high corporate level that's going to say, look, you don't listen to this guy, then you're out. Again, otherwise you're going to have to just clean house.
Okay, Blake David. When a young man is out there in a position of leadership, what happens when the people he's supposed to be leading no longer want to follow? They just ignore him or do whatever they want, whatever the case may be. What is that young man to do?
Wow. Really? It's a tough question now. This is a good question. I've seen it happen before. When you have a young individual who's made a leader of a team with a bunch of veterans, and they all look at him like, man, who is this dude?
Yeah.
Who are you to come and tell me what I got to do to get my job done? And me, I'm watching, feeling sorry for the guy. I'm like, damn. That's the worst place to be, because for one, you're being put between a hard plate and a rock. You're the young new guy who put into leadership over a team of veterans who feel like they don't need no leader. They can do whatever they want. But at the same token, your job to get the team organized and hit the quota, make sure you get what they need to get done on time, on a timely manner, so that you can get a good report on time. How will you fix that? I put a guy to the side. And I
somebody got an echo.
Yeah, somebody had an echo. Somebody got a mic on. So what I did, I spoke to the guy. I was like, you might have. Okay, who got a mic on? I know I'm deep, but I can't hear myself deep to the dog.
You're good now. You're good now.
What I did, I put a guy to the side and I asked him. You might have to figure out another way of dealing with this leadership role, because I can see they're chewing you out. They're making it hard for you. Why don't you reach out to each individual and figure out why they see you as not their leader, or what can you do to gain their trust? sometimes you got to be that odd person just to pull the guy to the side and give him some point what to do. Because for one, being a leader, even though you're appointed a leader, even though you don't have the experience about to have, it can put you in a hot seat one way or the other. So I'll be honest, it's a very difficult question to ask because I've seen it happen. The guy was able to succeed, in some case, the guy ended up failing. It's not an easy task. I'm not gonna lie. I know Mr. Bennett's seen it before. It is not. It don't look good. I'm sorry. That's a tough question, man, but that was wrong. But you got a point. That's all I can say.
All right. All right, no problem. JT, final thoughts. This is 11:44. What would you say? Your final thoughts on what leadership should look like? I mean, because you've heard, I guess some of the episode tonight.
Mm-hmm.
At least some of it. Yeah, on tonight's show. What are your final thoughts on tonight's show? What would you add? What would you take out? What you got?
So yeah, in a nutshell, first of all, I do want to thank you guys for having me on the panel. Great conversation. But I think that when we're talking about leadership, man, I think that we should always seek to be better people, right? You had a lot of people that they think that they've arrived to, perfection or whatever it is. But I think that one of the things in being a leader is to understand that at sometimes that you do have to have balance when it comes down to you still can learn. You still can learn from other folks. You still can learn from the people that you are actually leading. Again, if we're speaking from a standpoint of a family, at some point, if you're fortunate enough, your family, once you start getting old and weak, will be strong enough to be able to, in return, take care of you. I see a lot of older folks that have children that are weak because those folks that were so-called leaders, they did more enabling than actually teaching. From all the things that we talked about on this panel, when it came down to accountability, being able to walk them down the path of logic, being able to have balance when it comes down to discipline and all these different things. I think that, going from all the conversations that we had tonight, there's no real balance in most of our folks that's leaders, I can say, in families. Even if you talking about being a leader in social groups or a leader at work, if you was in the military, I heard a little bit about that what you guys were saying. And if you've been in the military, you've seen a bunch of horrible leaders. They did not know how to lead. They didn't know how to be impartial. You had some of them that were, remember when they used to use the word power hungry? You give them a little bit of power and now they want to be dictators. Then you have the other ones that are so passive that they don't know how to lead. I've literally seen people break down and call themselves quitting because no one wanted to hear them. That's why I said that, in my opinion, being a leader, you are appointed as that leader, and it's through the way that people follow you. That's just what it is. But yeah, man, I enjoyed the conversation. I enjoyed listening to a lot of the discourse. Like always, we definitely need to take these conversations to higher heights. We'll be back, talking about something like this again. We always do. or somewhere around this realm of leadership. And I think the more we talk about it, the more people that listen to it, the better people can actually be. They start understanding a lot of this stuff. So, hey man, you guys can follow me on What We Know podcast. I may be doing a show tomorrow. Maybe, may not. But if you subscribe to my channel and hit that bell, you will know. Just like what it's showing down here. Subscribe, get the notification, and I land.
Appreciate it. Check JT out on the What We Know podcast on JT's Weekly podcast. When are you going to be broadcasting again, JT?
Tomorrow. If I do a show tomorrow, it's gonna be about 9 o'clock.
Okay.
That's gonna be Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. So yeah, I'll be doing that.
Okay. All right, appreciate it.
Hey, all right, man. Hey, look, I enjoyed it, brothers. Most definitely.
Good night. Yes, sir.
All right, now.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Mr. Bennett.
Wow. Very good conversation tonight, and I'm just getting a rush of thoughts that just came into my head. So I'll try to keep this brief. I think overall, leaders are get too much of the blame, and too little of the blame, and too much of the credit. I think that, as I said earlier, using the sports analogies, I mean, you can have all the leadership, you can read all of the John Maxwell books you want, but unless you have the talent and the people who are willing to follow and apply themselves to that goal, leadership is only going to get you so far. So if you're going to be a leader, I think one of the things that you do is, again, help people recognize and help them to be their best, help them to eat so that you can eat. I think that if you can show people the advantages of what it means to follow you, I think you do well as a leader overall. But at the same time, we also need to recognize that for the positions that we're talking about, because we're only looking at leadership in this sort of, again, in a corporate setting or what have you, there's only going to be a few people who are going to be in those spots. You don't have a lot of, you don't have a lot of room in those spots. So you're talking about less than, the top percent of the percent who are going to be in those positions, but also at the same time recognize that there's other ways you can be leaders, and it's not everyone has to be going up to the same pie. But like I said, your household, everybody can be a leader in their own household. But as far as in these, corporate spaces or whatever, you may not get there. You're going to have to show your leadership in other ways. But even then, can you be an asset to those around you? Can they come to you, trust you with, especially when it comes to problem solving? You're a leader in that capacity as well. So I think those are the things. And one thing I wanted to end with, just going back to your previous question about leadership or for a young person. And I felt the first thing I kept thinking about was, again, from the Bible, 1st and 2nd Timothy, because Timothy, he was considered to be a young pastor to a church. And Paul was basically sort of mentoring him on how to lead the people. And the only things I could really, the main takeaways I got from that was, number one, for Timothy was he had to know his stuff. So Paul was like really hard. You have to know your scriptures inside and out. You got to when because they're going to question you. They're going to question your capabilities, and you better be, your doctrine solid. So that's one thing. The second thing is that your character and how you conduct yourself before these people has to be spot on. And I think I kind of made that point earlier, but really where a lot of that was coming from was from those books. So again, know your stuff. Your character must be very high, and then also respectful. Paul told him never talk to an older man harshly. So even though yes, you are the quote unquote leader, you're the pastor. how you talk to older people also matters. So just, and I've seen young pastors go to churches and speak to older congregants in their 60s and 70s who could be their grandparents, talking to them like they were trash. And it didn't go very well. So again, is it foolproof? No, but I think those principles, if you are going to have success as a young leader, always respect those who came before you, know your stuff, live a high character life. And that will help you get there a lot faster than if you didn't. But it is, but as a challenging situation to be in, but leadership at that level, I think it's meant to be, and only a few people have built for it. But again, great conversation tonight, guys. And I appreciate where Black Man again is continuing to take this platform. Anybody who's listening again, watching this again, hit the like button, subscribe. I'm a subscriber to the channel. I really appreciate what Black Man is doing here with this content. And I think this is something, a place where, you have thoughtful people trying to, uplift the conversation in these spaces and in our communities, that we're all be better off. All these men on this panel who are on here tonight, from what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, all high value, high class guys, high value in the good sense, not just six figures, but high character men and women who join this space, who really offer a lot of sound things for us, all of us, to consider and take guidance from. So salute to all the gentlemen here. Appreciated you guys having me on tonight. You can find me on Instagram, Paul T. Bennett on Instagram, where I do a lot of fitness videos, being fit over 50 years old, trying to encourage older people to take care of their health, exercise, eat well, all those good things. So you'll find me there. But of course, you'll find me usually here on Black Man's Network Tuesday and Friday nights. So again, thanks a lot, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. We'll see you in the back, hopefully.
Yes, sir. Yep, I'll be here.
Okay, cool.
Black David, you come from Nigeria. Your wife is Trinidadian. You come from a polygamy background. So now we would like to hear your final thoughts on tonight's topic. Please.
Once again, I thank for my voiceover, because I'm not paying him to sound better than I do. Now, guys, if you're hearing this,
Hold on. Audience, put a one in the chat. You cannot tell the difference. You cannot tell the difference. You cannot tell the difference.
when you see a manager doing a voiceover for me, you think it's me talking, and it's scary.
Oh man.
And this topic is one of the topics I try to avoid to speak on, but I would say this: for all the so-called leadership in the corporate realm, they're not leaders, they're boss. Because you look at the difference of the word leader and look at the difference of the word boss, you find out most of these people in these so-called leadership roles have never worked leader, they were actually boss. Like addicted, they're not trying to build people up to be the next level, even take their place. It's more of a competition. Well, being a leader, for what I learned over the years of my life, is to serve as well. True leadership comes from those who learn how to follow, who learn how to serve others. When you're a real leader, you don't think of it as if you think of the people who you're serving, who you're leading to the next location. Being a lead tech, supervisor, I told my team, when you are doing good, I'm doing good. When you're doing bad, I am doing bad. Leaders care about who are under them. They want to make sure they're well prepared for it. When it's time to step down, they'll make sure that among those people who they're leading, one will take their place and continue to fight. We make it look at the big picture. We don't have real leadership in the so-called Black community. Everybody want to be leader, they're more like jackasses. The real leaders are the ones who don't get the respect. They're like the unsung hero. They're hiding in the shadow, doing what needs to be done, but barely get the credit due to them. That's what I humbly believe. When you see outside, the so-called leader are nothing but bosses who will claim all the glory. Real leader are a great father who makes sure they raise their children the right way. What I think of a great leader? Major Pops who passed away. That's a great leader. Well, he was way more than a great leader because he had a huge impact. You can see what he left behind. Whenever Mandela shared that story, that thing hit me home. I'm like, whoa. If I would have met his dad, I'll be scared to follow after his leader. Because he's very impactful. Real leaders have a huge impact on people. So Mandela is right. You gotta know how to understand, read people's emotion. Because if you can't, you can live a positive impact in their life that they're gonna remember you. Other than that, everybody else are just fake leaders, bosses, jackasses, power hungry, numbnuts. You name it, I could give it. You can find me on YouTube at CBN Tech Talk. I'm doing an episode tomorrow to continue on my series. I'm humbled to be on this platform today for this topic because this is not no simple topic. Like my other right here, OG JP, he's the leader. Wealth of wisdom and insight. He's doing a lot of great things in the community. That's a real leader right there. Information man is the real leader right there. They're doing things that leave a huge impact. You can't measure by money, but you can measure by the people that change their life. Real leader change people's life for the better, not for the worse. That's just my point of view. I don't know what to tell you guys, but it is what it is.
Thank you very much, Black David. Appreciate it. See you in the back, I guess. Dusto, what are your final thoughts on tonight's show?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or good night, pretty much. I'm on East Coast time. As I said in the beginning, leadership, the max level is where you are influential. When because of you, people want to follow, they do follow, and they get the results. And they're looking for you to those results, and they replicate because good leaders build other good leaders. You're able to effectively communicate as well as demonstrate emotional intelligence to show people that you care. And people are going to follow that, as well as tact, honesty, integrity, and all kind of other good values. Common sense, critical thinking, logic. Those are leaders that we're looking for. And we need leaders to build those other leaders, which we need more of those. And we need to, follow and keep replicating all those kind of people. Unfortunately, there is a shortage of those people. So if we don't have those people, what do we have? We must have the opposite. We got Johnny Dust and Crust. What does Johnny Crust and Dust do? Instead of effectively critically thinking, instead of listening to emotion, listen to understand and effectively communicate, instead, there's a problem. You come here. I'm gonna beat it out of you. I'm gonna beat the black out of you. Get over here, Junior. Ladies and gentlemen, is that what we want to follow? Is that the example of husbands that we need for our future wives and future children and for our daughters? But you know what? There's a solution. For those of you who believe that, go home and beat your wives today. Because that's what you're saying. Violence is the solution. Go beat your wives. And beat the kids. But overall, African Americans do a lot of beatings and they promote beatings and stuff the most. Look at the results. Look at what's going on right now. How do we get here? That's all I got.
Thank you very much. I agree. That's how we got here. I think that we do need to implement some changes, a lot of them, because a lot of the traditions we've had, the practices we've had, look at the results they got us. People don't know how to cooperate with one another. Men don't know how to take care of women. They don't know how to be husbands. Women don't know how to be wives. They don't know how to cooperate with men. They don't know, and both of them don't know how to endure together. They don't know how to build a foundation together and build on top of that and build a family, a relationship, a bond, how to operate in a covenant, how to work towards that covenant during the dating period. You know what I'm saying? How to properly rear children, You know what I'm saying? This whole thing's been lost on us. What leadership really is. How to respect leadership. How to recognize good leadership from bad leadership. Yeah, because there's a difference between a leader being tight on you to motivate you and just a bad leader. Just because he's a jerk. You know what I'm saying? People can't tell the difference anymore. They can't tell the difference between someone who's being genuine and someone who's being fake. So
I just want to say shout out to the leaders. All leaders don't master every area. Shout out to
exactly.
Black Man Filter, leading his family. Also listening and asking for understanding. The people that you see now are not going to be the same people you see 4 years from now. They're going to be growing, and they're going to be also leading other leaders. So don't always evaluate a person for where they are now. I'm a certified Dustosaurus troll, but you didn't see who I was 5-7 years ago. But you also don't know who I'm following and also who I may be leading. But as long as you're working on these very things for good character, for solutions, and listening to understand and communicating, and a lot of us in the space sharpen each other. Shout out to Trey. Shout out to JT. Shout out to everyone who participated in the panel. I look forward to sharing knowledge as well as receiving it, and people to challenge my own critical thinking. I'm going to lead. I made that decision. It is what it is.
Same here.
Shout out to Mandrell. Appreciate your growth, bro.
Appreciate it. Yeah, you have to. You have to. At the end of the day, you're either going to decide to get better, or you're going to decide to get worse, or decide
if
to
you get worse.
if
you get worse, I'm going to troll it out of you, right?
Yeah, you have to. Please do.
I'm going to call you up and I'm going to troll it out of you.
Bro, please do. Troll it out of me. Don't let up either. It's going to be you and J Speed. You and J Speed are going to troll it out of me if I get worse. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, man, I can't. There's no point in getting worse.
Come here. Come here, Mandrell. Come here. Don't move. Touch your toes. Come here.
What's that supposed to do? Touch the toes. Oh, so you can get to that. I got it. That's disturbing. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Black Men Unfiltered Network for this episode of Barbershop Talk. I'm not gonna be online for a while, as it is. I'm building, and my building is, I need the time. Like I said Wednesday, I need the time. So you won't see me for a while, but I will be back in a couple of weeks. I'll be back in a couple of weeks, so I'm not going forever, just for a little bit. I'm busy doing stuff. All right, end the show. Thank you. Waiting on you.